to the Palo Alto Park and Recreation Commission meeting on Tuesday, May 26, 2026. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and we'll start with a roll call.
Commissioner Kleinhaus.
Here.
Commissioner Smith. Commissioner Axelrod. Chair Freeman.
Here.
Vice Chair Wei.
Here.
Commissioner Dang.
Here.
And Commissioner Smith. Sorry, Commissioner Brown. All right, there you go.
Commissioner
quorum.
Axelrod. Okay. Okay, now we'll open it up for public comments on non-agenda items. If you're here in person and would like to speak, please fill out a speaker card, hand it to the clerk. If you're joining us via Zoom and for an item that's not on the agenda, just raise your hand and the clerk will call you. However, due to a recent change, we'll hear the Zoom comments at the end of the agenda.
Okay, for our, looks like our first and only public comment for the non-agenda item would be Daniel G.
And I also would put out that for public, after the first speaker starts speaking, we have to turn off the speaker cards. Okay, thank you.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Council. My name is Daniel Garblick. I am a parent neighbor near Rinconada Park. This is my son, Decker.
Hi.
He's second grader at Walter Hayes. We just wanted to follow up on our public comment that we made via Zoom in the last meeting, which is to bring a food and beverage concession to Rinconada Park. We are talking with Sarah about this and just wanted to use this as an opportunity to build civic engagement. Palo Alto already has a model for this working with Ada's Cafe at Mitchell Park. There are a lot of great attractions over at Rinconada, perhaps tennis or pickleball. I'm going to stay out of that debate, but this could be a great opportunity to create more community in that park.
Thank you. Yep.
There are no more public comments in person at this time.
And thanks to everyone who spoke today. We'll appreciate you taking the time to share your comments. We'll move on to our first item, which is, are there any proposed changes, additions, or deletions to today's agenda? Okay, seeing none. We'll move on to our next item, which is the approval of the minutes. On the approval of the minutes from from April 28th, 2026. May I have a motion to approve the minutes with any necessary corrections?
I approve.
Have a second?
I can second.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, Chair, there were no minutes in the packet from last month.
There were-
Yeah, they were delayed, so they weren't put in the packet for this meeting.
Okay, so we'll strike that as an item then. Okay. Okay, next we'll move on to the council liaison report. Councilmember Lisa Haynes.
Thank you, Chair. As ever, it is a joy and a privilege to get to be the council liaison to the PRC. And I think when we have a full chamber like tonight, we're reminded that the issues you examine and address and arrive at opinions on are so germane to the well-being of our entire community. So another opportunity for me to thank you for your service. My report on council as of late is as follows. As you may know, we recently voted unanimously to move forward with a ballot measure for a sales tax to support the Cubberley land acquisition and the beginning of redevelopment of that parcel. Polling shows the idea is up for grabs. It will take a concerted effort on the part of supporters to see it through, but Council is thrilled to have 5 confirmed community partners in that effort: the Friends of the Palo Alto Recreation and Wellness Center, TheaterWorks, Maker Nexus, Avenidas, Palo Alto Community Childcare, and a potential sixth intending to come online, the Society of Heart's Delight, which is a coalition of individuals and groups in the Chinese community. And there are several stalwart longtime friends of Carberly who have indicated an intent to mount a campaign to support the ballot measure. Council will vote on specific ballot language at our June 8th meeting. It will take all of us to get it over the line, and Council can't thank PRC enough for your support of this issue. The second item I'd like to report out on is the city is sponsoring its first ever event for Pride. It will be on Sunday, June 7th from 2 to 5 p.m. right here outside City Hall in King Plaza. Hamilton Avenue between Bryant and Ramona will be blocked off for people to spill over onto that street and enjoy remarks as well as entertainment. There'll be a number of organizations tabling. We have a number of co-sponsors for this event. Beyond the City Council and the Community Services Department, we have Palo Alto Recreation Foundation, Stanford Healthcare, Stanford Medicine more broadly, Embarcadero Media, Grocery Outlet, Palo Alto Community Fund, Rivian, Stanford University, Kaiser, Sutter Health, Baymac, Society of Heart's Delight, Palo Alto University Rotary, Youth Community Service, and individuals including Jennifer DiBrienza and Jesse Doroskuger and Yudi Deng. Also, the Palo Alto Police Department has created a Pride patch for their uniforms that all officers will wear in the month of June. It is coming together, and we hope that you'll spread the word. Third, we've had a lot of activity on housing. 156 California is a builder's remedy project, proposed 3 towers, one atop the Molly Stone's grocery store and 2 towers nearby. Our council ad hoc committee made up of Councilmember Lowing and Vice Mayor Stone negotiated with the developer to bring the height of those towers down and arrive at a design that council felt that we could get behind. And so that project is moving forward. And then there are 2 projects on El Camino in the sort of fish market just north of Barron Park area, 3781 El Camino, 3606 El Camino, both 7 stories. I believe 183 units of housing with 13% below market, 321 units of housing, 13% below market. And so our efforts to put more housing projects in the pipeline to build, particularly the multifamily units that we need in order to welcome more people at different income levels to our city, continues to proceed at quite a pace we haven't seen in quite some time. Fourth, we voted recently, after much deliberation, in response to our concerns about youth mental health and the loss of life at our train tracks, we voted not to close Churchill Avenue. We did so because we have very strong evidence that when we have paid track monitors in place, that lives are not lost there during that time when we've had monitors present. And so we're, have reason to be confident about that solution as long as it is maintained. And we're also working on creating quiet zones, which will mean that the train does not have to sound its horn when it comes through Palo Alto. That is probably 18 months away, but it is in progress. And the closure would have resulted in putting cars right in the way of kids on bikes and on foot trying to get to school. The roads to which traffic would be diverted are simply not ready to handle that volume, and we feared that potentially greater hazards would be put in play and loss of life for different reasons, and we couldn't make that trade-off. We're confident that what we've already put in place with track monitors is a major step in the right direction to protect our youth. And finally, last but not least, our budget. As you know, we've been facing a significant deficit, but our finance department and staff have been working hard to figure out how to close that deficit in smart ways. And we will expect to approve that budget in the coming weeks as the fiscal year draws to a close. We will prepare to start a new one, and the work of this great little city continues onward. Thank you very much.
And thank you for the very in-depth report on what's happening in City Council. Appreciate that. We'll next move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the departmental report, item number 2.
Thank you, Chair, Commissioners. My name is Sarah Robustelli. I'm the Community Services Division Manager. While the slide deck's pulling up, thank you, Eric. If you head to the second slide, we'll do a recap of some of our special event. May Fet Parade and Community Fair was held on Saturday, May 2nd. This year's theme was Not All Heroes Wear Capes. The event drew a strong community participation with approximately 750 participants in the parade and over 1,500 attendees at the community fair. While the parade had 8 fewer entries than last year, the fair drew more than double the number of booths compared to the prior year, reflecting an increased community partnership participation. New groups included Taiwanese Cultural and Sports Association, Canine Companions, and Scaffold Play and Lab. Overall, the event was a successful celebration of community spirit, creativity, and local engagement. If you advance to the next slide, we have some of our upcoming special events. This week, we have our inaugural Thursday live event, which will launch May 28th, this Thursday, with live musics on both stages, featuring local favorites, bands, as well as a bunch of foods available, kids zone, community ribbon cutting with city officials, and everything begins at 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. with the community leaders kicking off the ribbon cutting at 6 p.m. The Summer Family Movie Night series is also kicking off here shortly. You'll see that in the middle of the screen. The Recreation Department will be hosting its 6th annual Summer Movie Night series, which begins at Mitchell Park Athletic Community Center Fields. The seating will begin at 7 p.m. with the movie starting at sunset. And to kick this off on June 5th is the first movie of the summer is Dog Man. And then on the right-hand side of the screen, the 4th of July Chili Cook-Off and Summer Festival will feature food trucks, beverages, kid activities, inflatables, live entertainment, as well as the free chili cook tasting. This year's competition has already drawn 16 chili teams, up from last year's 12, and there are cash prizes which will include categories for best vegetarian, overall chili, best overall chili, best booth, best spirit, and people's choice. On the next slide, commissioners should have received an invitation to attend the Bryant Street Community Center grand opening on Wednesday, June 3rd from 4 to 5. This event will celebrate an opening of downtown teen center, preview upcoming classes, programs, and highlight the new downtown home for La Comida senior lunch program. We hope to see you there. And on the next slide, echoing just what Councilmember Julie Lifcott-Haynes just presented, but City Council took a great important action, and that I'll keep moving in the interest of time. And I'll hand it over to Assistant Director Ben Heisting for updates on the sluice gate.
Good evening, Commissioners. Ben Heistein, Assistant Director of Open Space Parks and Golf. I have the esteemed pleasure of giving you a sluice gate repair status update tonight as a follow-up to the update we gave in the fall. This picture here we will revisit, but on the lower right is the sluice gate, which is currently stuck in the closed position and in need of repair. Next slide, please. I think it's helpful to step back a little bit and provide background information to better understand the sluice gate in context, as I don't think everyone is really familiar with it. So to do that, and I apologize, this will take a few slides, but I think it's important. So this is a picture of the tie gate structure in the Baylands that was built in 1957. The purpose of the structure is to regulate flows through the Palo Alto flood basin to provide flood protection for Matadero, Barron, and Adobe Creeks. It holds bay water out of the flood basin and discharges stormwater runoff into the bay via one-way flappers on the other side of that photo to keep floodwaters from backing up into the creeks upstream and the surrounding community. So it's critical flood control infrastructure. It is managed by Valley Water. Of the 16 gates within the overall structure, one of the gates is manually operated sluice gate that was installed in 1978 and maintained by the city of Palo Alto. And it's designed to let bay water in when open and keep it out of the flood basin when closed. So it's a two-way feature versus a one-way feature. Next slide. So here's an aerial of the Palo Alto flood basin, and it gives you another look at the geography in the area. So the basin's approximately 600 acres. If you want to visualize it another way, it's the size of about 450 football fields. So it's a massive structure. At the northern end of the flood basin, I'll just kind of go clockwise to get our bearings on what we're looking at. So at the northern end circled is the tie gate structure that was pictured in the previous slide. And that's also where the sluice gate is housed. The flood basin is flanked by the San Francisco Bay and Mayfield Slough to the north. And going around clockwise, Charleston Slough and Mountain View to the east. Highway 101 to the south, and then coming around on the west side, the Matadero Creek outfall, the ITT property, and Bixby Park to the west of the flood basin. So you'll notice the flow also depicted from the three main creeks, Matadero, Barron, and Adobe. And the flood basin also receives inflow through different stormwater runoff sources as well. But those are the primary inlets for water getting into the flood basin aside from the bay itself. And in 1992, depicted in kind of the shaded callouts, the Emily Renzel ponds and the restored salt marsh were created, which results in approximately 1 to 1.5 million gallons of water per day being pumped into the mouth of Matadero Creek, which then flows into the flood basin. And that water is mixed at a 1-to-1 ratio of fresh water and salt water. The fresh water comes from the Regional Water Quality Control Plant as treated effluent, and the salt water comes in from the bay, as kind of depicted in the yellow line with the arrows. So that kind of gives you a little bit of the hydrology of the flood basin and how water gets into it. Bixby Park, to draw your attention to right in the center, it's important to mention was formerly the Palo Alto landfill, and the sluice gate was installed in 1978 as part of a mitigation effort for extending the landfill. I believe it was about 40 acres. Next slide, please. So now we're going to go through the brief 50-year history of the sluice gate. So in 1975, prior to the sluice gate being installed, the City Council agreed to a one-year trial for creating a salt marsh area in a small portion of the flood basin as mitigation for extending the Palo Alto landfill. And that landfill closed in 2011. In 1978, the sluice gate was installed, and that will allow water to flow into the flood basin to create kind of an artificial man-made tidal marsh habitat as part of that mitigation effort. In 1992, those projects, Renzel Marsh and the Salt Marsh, were established, and that provided pretty significant new inflows into the basin. In 2018, Valley Water Tide Gate replacement project planning began. The structure was aged, and it was found out that replacement was needed. And that replacement plan in 2018, going all the way into, I think, 2023, before they kind of shifted gears, included a new sluice gate, which is going to be automatically controlled, remote operable, a new modernized sluice gate, which had also aged and had exceeded its lifespan at that point. In 2020, the sluice gate was no longer operable through manual cranking due to marine buildup. Prior to that, the motorized functionality of the sluice gate also had not worked, and one of the reasons it was included in the original tide gate replacement plans, which was going to be constructed by Valley Water on the city's behalf. And then in 2024 is when the big shift happened, and the tide gate replacement project was deferred until 2060, based off aligning with the federal plans to construct the Shoreline 2 project. So that was deferred significantly, and the focus shifted then to extending the service life and seismic reinforcement of the tide gate. The sluice gate was inspected and confirmed not leaking through a dry inspection. And in 2025, Valley Water began its, last year, its tide gate seismic retrofit rehab project, but without any plans to include any work on the sluice gate. That was then put on the city to address. So next slide. So you picture here, back to this photo, is the westernmost bay of the tide gate structure, looking at it from the bay side. The sluice gate's pictured on the right, coupled with its motorized assembly, and one of the flap gates is pictured on the left. That's one of the 7 flap gates on that side that's operated by Valley Water. So you can see the kind of the different types of gates. And the sluice gate's 48 years old now. The motorized system has not been functional, as I mentioned before, and the physical gate is stuck closed due to marine buildup, barnacles, and that kind of stuff. So having provided all that background, here's the update. We've submitted a permit application last year to clean the sluice gate and knock off all the marine buildup, and also perform a underwater conditions assessment. The underwater work is different from like a dry inspection, because it will reveal submerged corrosion and fully identify marine growth impacts on the gate. It'll facilitate inspection during actual hydraulic loading when the water is high, so we can really see any potential leakage paths or vibration, and evaluate the gate behavior under pressure. And the gate will also be pressure washed to dislodge the marine buildup, aka barnacles, to restore the manual operability of the gate. And then we can fully assess repair needs and feasibility of restoring that antiquated motorized system. So the purpose of this work will be to extend the life of the system, similar to the mindset going in by Valley Water to extend the life of the tide gate. We're simply trying to get it operable until that Shoreline 2 project happens, in which case the idea is that the tide gate replacement project would resume and also presumably include a new sluice gate at that time, but that would not be until 2060. So that's kind of a while. The Valley Water's project, just as an aside, is going to resume in September, and they're going to be, if you remember last year, they did the seismic retrofit, and so this year they're going to do repair work on 6 of the flappers as a kind of a second phase of that seismic retrofit project. And then for next steps for the city, assuming all that goes well with the cleaning and initial repairs of the sluice gate, we are evaluating and need to continue to evaluate water level trends in the basin based off sensor collected data. And we want to ensure that the sensors are accurately reading water levels, because that dictates when we open and close it. And that will inform kind of our operational protocol. So for future planning also, It should be noted that the Renzel and Salt Marsh inflows that I attempted to highlight intentionally may inadvertently support the goal of the sluice gate function, but that needs to be looked at more. And that's my update for the sluice gate. Next slide, we're going to roll right along and take questions on all of it after. Just a couple things. There's some irrigation budget cuts coming in the proposed FY27 budget that have been discussed in Finance Committee and in the public realm. And I wanted to just clarify that the system-wide cuts, we're shooting for a 10 to 15% irrigation schedule reduction system-wide. So not just Foothills, but throughout the entire park system. It just so happens that Foothills was kind of highlighted more so in prior discussions in the last week because that is the one preserve that we have irrigated turf. But in all areas of irrigated turf and parks, we're going to be just dialing back the schedule 15% to achieve some reductions and as a budget cutting strategy and also a water conservation measure. And then shifting gears towards the other side of the slide is the natural grass pilot. So a couple of weeks ago, we had an agronomist come out who's going to be helping us construct the pilot study at Greer Park to enhance maintenance practices to see if enhanced maintenance will increase playability and turf quality. So the first step in that was to do some testing. So there's a picture of us spending the day out there doing testing and taking soil samples to inform that approach. We're going to be receiving the draft kind of proposal for conducting the study from the consultant and reviewing that with the ad hoc as the next step. And just to make sure that that plan kind of aligns with council's intent for the natural grass pilot and allow some opportunity for the ad hoc to express feedback. And we'll be providing regular departmental updates on the project as it proceeds. It will entail some difference in how we go about maintaining the fields at Greer over the next year, specifically 2 fields. So the biggest change is that 2 of the fields at Greer will be closed down for 2 weeks in October, so we can conduct a mid-season renovation during fall when it's ideal weather-wise because it's cooling down, yet still warm enough to get seed germination and that kind of thing. So we'll be aerating, injecting sand, and trying to improve drainage and field playability. And we are working with the user groups just to coordinate reservations and ensure that they have other places to play during those 2 times for the groups that are affected on those specific 2 fields. So that's a little bit of a a little bit of a curveball. But more details will be coming out as we start to finalize plans and discuss things with the ad hoc. Next slide. And then I wanted to highlight this was April 28th and 29th. Parks maintenance staff and the watershed protection team and also open space administrative staff participated in a GSI certification training. GSI stands for Green Stormwater Infrastructure, and learned how to maintain bioretention areas in a way to kind of like align with best practices for maintaining those facilities. This is pictures of the training that was put on by Rescape, and so we did 1 day of classroom training and 1 day of field practicum where we renovated a bioretention area in Rinconada Park off Hopkins. So I just want to highlight that because it kind of shows one big operational shift that we're doing towards increasing maintenance and service levels of these bioretention areas, and also furthering kind of like our regenerative landscaping techniques and in-house knowledge. as well. So it was a great cross-departmental effort, and it'll be ongoing and kind of a kickoff to, an ongoing maintenance program. And I'll kick it back to Sarah to finish us off.
All right. The full department of CSD was invited to upgrade Bowdoin Park with a spring native planting. This was completed. A second planting will be completed in the fall. We want to thank our volunteer, Juanita Salisbury, for providing the planting plan. Next slide. Highlighting some before and after photos and upgrades of pathway improvements at Ramos Park. On the left-hand side, you'll see the before, and on the right-hand side, you'll see the after. We want to thank our Public Works crew for completing that work. And then lastly, if you go to the next slide, we wanted, recently staff visited the San Francisco Recreation and Parks Commission Vault Museum at McLaren Lodge to learn more about their approach in preserving and sharing departmental history. Thank you to their staff and Commissioner Kate Anderson for welcoming the city and sharing lessons learned from their project. The Friends of Palo Alto Parks also participated in the visit as we continue to explore opportunities to celebrate and tell the story of Palo Alto's park system. So thank you to them. That concludes our departmental report.
Thank you, and thank you for a very in-depth report. I think that's the longest we've had, but there's a lot of information. There's a lot of information that you covered during that time frame. So I'll open it up to any commissioners that have any questions of staff. Commissioner. Sure.
I have a few questions. Thank you for clarifying that the reduction in irrigation was not limited to foothills. That was not my impression from the packet that City Council was reviewing, so thank you so much, because that's good. That's good, and I support that. About the GSI certification, if we could plant locally native plants that support local biodiversity in the bioretention system and local butterflies, we could put things for monarchs. I think our mayor just declared the monarch, some kind of monarch statement, so that would be a really good outcome if we could use those bioswales for enhancing monarch habitat. Regarding the sluice gate, thank you so much for the update. I get a lot of questions about that, so I really appreciate this. And I have two questions. One is there any concern that the corrosion of the sluice gate could increase flood gate at some point? This flood risk?
The information we have on the sluice gate is in 2024, it was inspected by Valley Water, and the seals were confirmed to be intact. So we don't have any reason to believe that there's any risk of leakage, but this inspection will look a little deeper and verify that and expose the sluice gate structure a little more, since we'll be washing off all that marine buildup so we can fully evaluate. In its closed position, there's no flood risk with it being closed.
Okay, and the second question, the mitigation it was supposed to create was to create a salt marsh or a tidal marsh in a section of the flood basin. The water that flows in now is not as salty. It's mixed half and half with fresh water and salty water. So are we looking at all at any of the vegetation community to see if there's changes in the vegetation in the flood basin?
Currently, there hasn't been exhaustive studies of the plant communities in the flood basin. We're focusing right now on repairing the sluice gate, but that is a potential need to do a full evaluation. Valley Water, I think, analyzed the flood basin, plant communities, just as it relates to their project. So that was like within a limited area, I think maybe just a few acres, and found some, some different varying plant habitats that were, like emergent wetlands that were muted saltwater marsh habitat. Another thing to note is that when during storm events, when the flapper gates get obstructed by like a log or something, that can result in multiple days of water flowing in from the bay. That can also impact the plant communities in the general vicinity of the tie gate structure. But to the extent that the Renzel Pond and salt marsh inflows affect salt marsh habitat, that really hasn't been looked at.
Thank you.
Commissioner Wei, Vice Chair Wei.
Thanks for the great report, both Ben and Sarah, and I really enjoyed the parade and wish I joined you for the museum. Sorry I missed it. And a couple of questions, clarify question regarding the sluice gate. It's really detailed update. And just to clarify, is currently the sluice gate totally non-operational or only manual cranking? What's the status now?
It's been stuck closed, in the closed position for several years. It's the motorized functionality has been not functional for more time than it's been stuck closed. So there was a period of time where it was manually operated with a manual lever. And so we're looking to at least restore the manual operability of it. However, in terms of practical operations, we would really need that motorized functionality restored as well, so we don't depend on just manual operation.
Got it. When the retrofit work resumed in fall, were there temporary impacts on bay trail access or public access to be expected to change in any way?
For the work that we're doing?
Yeah.
No expectation of changes for the public access aside from maybe a couple days of, barriers for staging equipment. The Palo Alto seismic retrofit project done by Valley Water, that will impact access during a few months while they're doing that work.
Okay, I'll ask more the environmental questions later. And one clarified question for the water sort of reduction due to budget cut. So how or what specific TUF are considered non-functional? How do you set up criteria to define that classification?
Yeah, so AB, I believe, I'm going to butcher it, AB 1572, that's the Assembly bill for non-functional turf. On January 1st, 2027, municipal agencies are supposed to be complying with that rule prior to it being, prior to private landowners having to comply. So the definition of non-functional turf is basically areas that are not used for recreational purposes. So those would be like passive grass areas, grass in median strips. There's a little bit of a gray area in that sometimes it's a little bit up for interpretation as to what is used and what's not used. And I think when we get to the point of proposing actual like turf removal projects, we want to get the PRC and the community's feedback to ensure we're not missing anything in terms of our own assessment of what's non-functional. But we have to do our due diligence and our best effort to identify non-functional areas and work towards reducing them.
Great, you have a guideline and a process set up. Thanks. Thank you.
Commissioner Axelrod.
Thanks for the amazing updates always. One for Sarah. So for Thursday Live, is the format going to remain the same as Thursdays, or is it any different? It's exciting to have it back, but I just
I'm going to actually pass this to Adam Howard since he's in the building.
Good evening, Adam Howard, Senior Community Services Manager. We'll build off some of the momentum from the third Thursdays. It's Thursday Live because it won't always be the last Thursday. We want to build it around other events. But some of it will be the same, live music, games for kids, and then each month we'll have a little something special outside of the live music. This month being a car show, so we're going to bring in some exotic and classic vehicles for the crowds. So some similarities and some additions that we'll build off as we receive from community feedback.
Awesome, thank you. And a small one for Ben on the sluice gate. I'm curious, after the inspection, we'll see what happens for next stage. Are we going to get estimates for both what the minimum fix is versus what it'll take to get us all the way to 2060 now?
As far as a follow-up update, or?
As the outcomes of the inspection, are we going to get scenarios where you have to fix this now, and it'll take this much, versus if you fix this much, you probably
Right.
don't have to touch it until Valley Water redoes it?
Right, I think we'll have more insights after we do the inspection and evaluate all of the systems, the mechanical systems, because there's the tide gate, the sluice gate, there's the motorized system, there's an electronic system that to actuate the motor, then there's sensors that sense the water level. So we kind of have to look at all of it as in phases, and then we'll be able to make a better strategy as far as like what, maybe a cost benefit analysis in terms of like what does it make sense to fix now. What level of investment should we put into it, given that we're only trying to extend the life, 20 to 40 years, because we are likely going to try to avoid replacing the structure, because that's probably not going to be, it's not going to be cost effective.
Yep, I just wanted to make sure we are inspecting all the elements that may come into play if we want to extend the life for another 30 years.
Right.
We are? Great, thank you.
Commissioner Dean?
Thank you to staff for excellent work and updates. First, I had the honor of serving as a judge for the May Fete Parade. It was wonderful to see over 45 energetic civic and community organizations showcasing their community spirit and impact. Congratulations to the top 3 winners. Boost Dance Class for taking first place, followed by the Palo Alto High School Pep Band and the Gamble Garden in 3rd place. Second, I'm proud to support and sponsor the inaugural Palo Alto Pride on June 7th. I will be tabling there, so look forward to seeing many of you there. And finally, it's great to see the progress on the natural grass pilot at Greer Park. I especially appreciate Adam and Ben's effort proactively communicate with the user groups regarding the planned 2-week closure in the fall. Yeah, thank you again for staff for your thoughtful communication behind all those efforts.
Okay, any others? Okay, I'll just tag into the live on California Avenue. It's nice to see that that's coming back, and hopefully that'll stay being an ongoing event. It seems like people really enjoyed those and really missed them when they sort of disappeared. So thank you for getting that back on track. As far as the soccer field closure, we talked a little bit about that, but maybe if the ad hoc is going to discuss that, I'll let it go. But is that, what has been the feedback from the user community that you've talked to about when that closure would take place, and whether or not what the inconvenience is going to be for them, and it will in fact just be for 2 weeks and not more than that?
Yeah, I talked a little bit to reservation staff on Adam's team, and the feedback has been okay. They've been understanding. I think perhaps there was some confusion earlier when we did a general placeholder, not knowing what specific fields we were going to close. So there was concern that the closure was going to be like the whole park for longer than what we're doing. So we've refined that based off our discussions with the agronomist, and we'll further refine that as we get a written plan. but we're intending to only shut down 2 fields, fields 2 and 4, for about 9 days in October. So it'll affect 1 weekend only in terms of those 2 fields. And I know our reservation staff is working to, with groups to like move them to other fields for those like 2 weeks if they need it.
Okay, so that information has been communicated out to the
Yes.
the soccer community, and so we've cleared up all of the discrepancies, I guess, or. that
It's been
surfaced.
communicated to any group that's reserving Greer
Okay,
in the fall.
okay. Thank you. And lastly, good job on the chili cook-off. It seems like that hasn't been, the termination date hasn't ended yet, right? So you have 16 teams right now, and they have until when to, the fact that we have a lot of people here who are probably interested now in doing a chili cook-off, so now that they know, hopefully we can add to that group.
Right. If you are interested in cooking chili for the 4th of July.
I didn't say me, but yeah.
You're still welcome to sign up.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, thank you. All right, great. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the ad hoc committee and liaison updates. There's, for what? I'm sorry. You can ask, there's no, if you have additional questions, go ahead.
Sorry, I thought we'd just do the brief. Quickly going back to the sluice gate, I really like the detailed report. Just wondering if we currently have any ecological data on habitat health, biodiversity, and also is there any additional opportunities to improve the habitat resilience while extending the infrastructure, extending the service life of infrastructure?
To evaluate the health of the plant communities, going into that would really need to be approached as a holistic. We need a holistic approach to determine, are we looking at just plant community health? Are we looking at overall ecological health of the flood basin, including wildlife? It would be a multi-agency effort. And so it would be a big project to actually study the flood basin, depending on at what level, right? So we don't have any plans right now to do that.
Okay.
We're focused solely on restoring the operability of the sluice gate.
Okay.
But that could be a future need to do a more in-depth, holistic ecological study of the flood basin, similar to what was done, in the original 1976 mitigation project, where there was a lot of, they were looking at substrate salinity and the bottom contour of the flood basin, looking at the whole thing. So there's a lot involved with that.
Excellent. Well, it's good, something to bear in mind. That leads to a question. It'd be interesting to know the division responsibilities between Valley Water and the City of Palo Alto for operation, maintenance, habitat management, long-term plans related to the tidal gates, the sluice gate repairing. How much we involved in terms
The
funding, maintenance, workforce, and they are involved?
Yeah, we're in charge of maintaining the sluice gate. And Valley Water's responsible for the tie gate structure, and they have an easement for operating the flood basin to make sure it attenuates peak flow in storms. It's designed to attenuate 100-year storm impacts. And so that kind of operation is done by Valley Water, and we don't have a lot of involvement in that overall flood control picture. But the basin itself is primarily a flood control facility. And so I don't want to speak for Valley Water, but I think they look at it primarily through its ability to manage floodwaters and as its primary purpose.
Excellent. So would this eventually support educational partnerships with our local schools using environmental programs or community volunteer activities tied to marsh stewardship, climate resilience in the long run? That's all my questions.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the ad hoc liaison report. Anyone have any reports that they'd like to share with the rest of the commission? Commissioner Axelrod.
I think Councilman Lithcott-Hames covered Cubberley very well. There's a lot of progress on there, so thank you for that.
Commissioner Axelrod, it's hard to hear.
Oh, sorry. Is better? Yeah, I was just commending Councilman Lithcott-Hames on the great updates on Cubberley. I think she covered most of the points, but we're going to continue to engage with that. One small one from Safe Routes. We have an amazing resource in Ventura, a bike safety park, that it seems like we're not getting the word out enough. It could use a little more love, so I'm going to be bringing it up with staff to see how we can get the word out on that one a little bit more.
Thank you. Anyone else? Commissioner.
For nature connectivity, I know Commissioner Way and I have been looking at reviewing city policies and plans, like the comprehensive plan, parks plan, urban forest master plan, sustainability and climate, and all the other planning documents, and identifying the policies and programs that are that have something to do with the biodiversity connectivity, whether it's supportive or there is a gap or there is something that could potentially be conflicting. So that's what we've been doing.
Thank you. Okay, as far as the parks, ad hoc on the park dedication, the Ventura is the one that's is sort of ongoing. I know, Sarah, you've reached out to the Palo Alto Community Child Care. Is there any update on that? Have you heard back from them?
Right now, I am working with different internal departments and making sure there aren't any carve-outs that are going to be necessary as we plan for the future. And once that I hear back from multiple different departments, the next step is having that land surveyed.
Okay, thank you. And the only other item on that, on the parks, is the Measure E. I don't know if Commissioner Kleinhaus, have you have anything on that? Okay. No. I know that that's going to come back, coming back to the commission in June, I believe, on the agenda.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Okay.
It's going to be on your agenda shortly.
Okay, okay, cool. Good. All right, I think that is, so we'll move on to item number 4 on our agenda, I believe it is, which I'm sure everyone's been waiting for. But before we move on to that item, I want to begin with this. I want to thank everyone for attending the meeting today. I'd also like to remind everyone that we expect a respectful environment throughout tonight's discussion. We understand that members of the public and commissioners may have differing opinions regarding pickleball and tennis issues, and that is completely appropriate. However, I ask that there be no audible expressions, reactions, applause, or interruptions during presentations. There'll be some, I'm sure, some good presentations going on, or public comments, or commission's discussion, so that everyone has an equal opportunity to be heard respectfully. So with that being said, let's move on to the item on the agenda on number 4.
Good evening again. Adam Howard, Senior Community Services Manager with the City of Palo Alto in the Recreation Department, here tonight to discuss the pickleball facility usage in Palo Alto and an expansion evaluation. Next slide, please. So ultimately, we're here tonight for the staff and the ad hoc committee are recommending that the Parks and Rec Commission support the recommendation not to increase inventory of the City of Palo Alto's pickleball courts. This includes the conversion of additional city tennis courts at Mitchell Park. This is based off our analysis of operational use, parking, noise, and user conflict concerns. We're, of course, going to go over that in tonight's presentation. Next slide, please. Just a little bit of background as to how we got here. It was April 22nd, 2025. The Palo Alto Pickleball Club presented to the PRC, providing some information regarding court demand, overcrowding, player wait times, and a request to convert Mitchell Park courts 3 and 4 into 8 designated pickleball courts. The commission asked staff to look into this a little bit. So on August 26, 2025, staff presented to the PRC regarding court usage specifically in Mitchell Park. And at that time, the commission requested staff to kind of take a broader look at the issue, looking at court usage across Palo Alto, looking at parking in Mitchell Park, and looking at possible solutions, including the idea of conversions of the courts in Mitchell Park. Next slide, please. So first, I want to kind of give you a background of the courts, how they are today, and including the expansion that has already taken place here in Palo Alto. I'm going to go over these, but I'll show you kind of visually each of these sections. Hopefully that's a little easier to follow. Next slide, please. So it was 2018. Where you see in the picture, the yellow outline, those were previously courts 5, 6, and 7. At that time, the court policy was updated really just to allow pickleball to play on those courts on a first-come, first-served basis on temporary lines. Next slide, please. It was in 2019, with increased demand of pickleball in Palo Alto, that new courts were designed. So this space outlined in blue was an area outside courts 5, 6, and 7. The fence was taken down and some space was added so that 2 pickleball courts could be added. Next slide, please. Court 5 what became 4 designated pickleball courts. All of these courts were lit by existing lights. Next slide, please. Courts 6 and 7 became multi-use courts. These courts over the time have gone through a lot of different priority times. Each time pickleball getting more and more priority until we got to where we are today, which is priority to pickleball 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All of this space opened officially in 2020. Next slide, please. These 2 kind of standalone courts were lit in April of 2022 with the help of the Palo Alto Pickleball Club. And so we were added lights from the existing poles to light these courts as well. Next slide, please. That's where we are today. So there are 15 lit pickleball courts in Mitchell Park. Do want to point out that each of the 3 middle schools and 2 high schools have pickleball lines on their campus, but no nets, no resources for those. We have 27 city-operated 27 operated tennis courts, 10 of which are lit. There are 4 in Mitchell Park, 6 at Rinconada. And then there are 27 Palo Alto Unified School District tennis courts, which are available to the public during non-school hours, so evenings, weekends, and holidays. That includes 7 lit courts at Palo Alto High School. That's a total of 54 public tennis courts. Next slide, please. So with the request of the commission, we wanted to look at overall court usage in Palo Alto. Staff did multiple spot checks. We did that 68 days in total over, I think, 6 months, really focusing on night and weekends when we found that the demand to be the highest. And this is really kind of the outcome of that. So we found that the pickleball courts were always at capacity with people waiting. The lowest number we saw waiting was 5. The highest rate people waiting was 60 people waiting. On average, over those 68 days, it was 26 people waiting. Next slide, please. For tennis courts, Generally, you were able to find tennis courts available somewhere in the city. Of the 68 times, there were 5 instances when all the available courts were in use. Those were all evening times, so when lights were necessary. Only 15 times of those 68 were tennis courts available at Mitchell Park. So if we do any changes to the Mitchell Park courts, we will be kind of pushing people to other courts here in Palo Alto. And we found that most often the availability was at Palo Alto High School. So those are not city-operated courts anymore, but they're still available to the public. And there is no bathroom access there on the evenings or in weekends. While we did this, we also looked at the parking, specifically at Mitchell Park. So although evenings was the busiest for the courts, weekend mornings is really when we found the parking to be at its busiest, and that's when all the amenities are kind of available. So we're talking about the library, the community center, cafe, fields, and the multiple uses they have, the Magical Bridge and other playgrounds located in Mitchell Park, both group picnic areas and individual picnic tables, and of course, the courts that are located in Mitchell. Generally, we did find parking open, but limited, 5 to 10 parking spots. Often those parking spots were located at the East Meadow Park entrance, so that's kind of the furthest parking spots from the main amenities in the park. There was one date where all the parking was full, and that coincided with one of the largest rentals that the community center has for a Lunar New Year. And at that time, there was no parking available in the parking structure. So I think what this finds is parking is limited, but handling what we're doing currently in the park, any kind of ongoing additional demand would likely put the parking at capacity. Next slide, please. So with that information, we started to kind of evaluate what we could do for the pickleball expansion. We looked at the pickleball expansion in Mitchell Park, 3 and 4, at the request of the Pickleball Club, but we also wanted to look at some alternatives, some of which we've looked at before, which is dual striping courts, resident permits or reservations, lighting covered tennis courts, or looking for new dedicated pickleball sports space. So we'll kind of go over these in detail here. Next slide, please. So we'll begin with the idea of evaluating conversion. Mitchell Park tennis courts 3 and 4. So in this picture, that's the 2 tennis courts highlighted in yellow. If you did this, this would increase pickleball courts from 15 to 23. It would reduce tennis courts from 4 to 2. It's also important to note that with any of our increase in pickleball courts, it has come with increased kind of regional popularity and demand. Next slide, please. So if we look at 3 and 4, as you can see that courts 3 and 4 are currently located a little bit in a more centralized location in the park, and there are concerns about that location and what additional noise and crowd will bring. So the larger highlighted box is the Achieve Kids play area, which you can see is directly adjacent to those playgrounds. So we've heard concerns about that for the Achieve Kids. Next slide. This other highlighted box is the Mitchell Park Community Center and Library. That box specifically indicates kind of the rental spaces that the community center has. And as you can see to the close proximity, staff has concerns about how the noise from that pickleball would impact rentals that happen there really every day, especially on weekends. Next slide, please. This would be the remaining 2 tennis courts that would happen in Mitchell Park. We have concerns about the immediate impact. Tennis and pickleball, though share similarities, kind of play differently. Tennis needs a little bit more quiet. Pickleball brings in larger social gatherings and a little bit more noise. So we have concerns about the 2 kind of being so adjacent to each other. That's even highlighted with 1 and 2 does a lot of our private lessons and instruction. So the need for communicating to each other would be really important. That would be really difficult to do with the pickleball courts so close. And then, staff just continues to have concerns about the increase in demand that would be created by those additional pickleball courts and we would foresee kind of additional need to convert 1 and 2 in the future. So those are our concerns about the tennis impacts. Next slide, please. This conversation in particular had a lot of feedback, and I'm sure you will hear a lot of that tonight. I wrote 160 emails that we have surpassed. We're well over 200 at this point, and I did my best to kind of summarize that for you here. We're hearing, the pickleball courts are crowded, leading to long wait times. We hear a lot about the value that the pickleball brings to the community, both socially and physically. We heard from the tennis community that they don't want to lose lit tennis courts, specifically the 4 courts that are available in South Palo Alto. A lot of concerns from residents about the overcrowding of Mitchell Park and all of its amenities. Noise concerns of the park and the surrounding neighborhood, including our partners at the Magical Bridge Playground. And then you'll hear a lot about the limited parking that we currently have. Next slide, please. Since we saw a lot of concerns with the expansion of 3 and 4, we wanted to bring forth some other ideas that we have at least looked into here in terms of pickleball expansion. One of that is the dual striping of courts. The idea here is that you put both tennis lines and pickleball lines on courts. That allows for increased play during limited times and days, flexibility of uses, and there's relatively low cost to dual stripe courts. However, we find that creates kind of additional conflicts between users. Dual striping requires portable nets, storage, and the management of space and those equipment needs. Locations to do that are also limited because of noise and parking concerns that we've discussed. And our biggest challenge there is that ultimately it builds demand with no long-term solution on how to resolve that demand. Next slide, please. We looked at a resident permit system or reservations. The idea here is that you would allow residents to reserve court space on the pickleball courts. This could reduce capacity issues without changing the facilities, and ideally would increase priority use by residents. Some issues with this is that it requires ongoing staff management to create these permits and provide enforcement of issues. It's not typically how we handle Palo Alto public spaces. And a big issue is this really decreases court rotations, which ultimately could lead to more wait time or less people using the space. So we kind of see that as a decrease in the value of the court space that we currently have. Next slide, please. We looked at the idea of lighting Cubberley tennis courts. The idea here is that you really provide lit tennis courts at Cubberley, and you allow pickleball to be all of Mitchell Park courts. This does allow for long-term separation of pickleball and tennis. Both sports kind of gain important aspects of the access and space that they need. However, anytime you're talking about lighting, there's a lot of challenges with that. Heavily discussed, it needs to be vetted and approved by the community and the neighborhood. It's really difficult to have a timetable as when that could actually happen. There's large financial impacts with that. And our biggest concern is that the concerns at Mitchell Park remain. Parking, noise, impacts to the other users would remain and possibly get worse with that solution. Next slide, please. The next one is building dedicated pickleball facilities. This is a great idea in theory. You allow new space designed specifically for pickleball use. Ideally, it's space not being used by other users or being underutilized. However, finding a location is very difficult because of the challenges we've discussed. It's our largest financial impacts, and again, the timing to pull something like that off is unknown. Staff has done its best to find this kind of new possible location. What you see here is at the Baylands Athletic Center. There was some real possibility here The Baylands Center has a lot of parking. There's a space that's available. You can see on the picture on the left is kind of a zoomed out picture of the Baylands Athletic Center. The highlighted yellow is kind of behind what the baseball field and softball field. You can see on the right, kind of zoomed in, it's currently a gravel pit with kind of overgrown weeds, not being used for anything. So we thought, maybe this is a possibility. With its current location, I think it could get along well with what's around it currently. It could hold, we think, about 6 courts. It would, at a low estimate, be about $1.6 million to build, but there's a bigger concern. Next slide, please. The space next door, currently being redeveloped for a new housing development, puts what would be there as new homes at about 20 feet from the pickleball courts. Something staff has worked tirelessly to avoid. Now, if both were built with each other in mind, could that be something that works in the future? It's possible, but with that home development, that space becomes less of an ideal option. Next slide, please. So with all that said, we're kind of back at the recommendation that we recommend not increasing inventory of pickleball courts in Palo Alto currently. Again, we've looked at a lot of different possibilities, and just given our analysis of the needs, of operational needs, parking concerns, noise, user conflicts, we really, at this point, think that we need to stand pat and look for future options in the future. Next slide, please. That is my presentation.
Thank you. Adam, I want to start by thanking you and the staff for all the work you've done to get us to where we are today. I know, having been involved in this for the longest period of time, that a tremendous amount of time, outreach, observation, and analysis has gone into listening to both tennis and pickleball communities, and we'll hear more tonight as well, and trying to find a balanced approach. That's been something we've been working towards and will continue to work towards even after tonight. I also want to say that the report you presented is extremely thorough. A lot of effort went into that, and it's obvious that a great deal of work and thought went into putting it together. I know we've gone back and forth on this and trying to make sure that we can address all the issues that are involved here. But again, we're not saying that this is the end of the game. It continues. So the operational analysis, the court observation, parking review, and the evaluation of alternatives clearly show how seriously the staff has approached this issue. So again, I want to thank you and the good job that you and others who've worked on this went through. So before we jump into public comments, want to see if there's any commissioners that have any clarifying questions for Adam before we move into the next question, please. Vice Chair White.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I also echo what Chair just said, really strongly commending Adam, you and your team have such a rigorous data-driven analysis over the last 7 months period. It's really, really well documented, the sustained peak demand for pickleball at Mitchell Park, and also clearly identifies real ongoing constraints around parking, noise, conflicts among multiple park users. This is exactly the type of balanced evaluation we rely on. I just want to ask one question about the dew strap courts, and for the possible dew strap courts and increased residency priority use, do we have any operation tools, technology available to support enforcement and fair access? For example, reservation system, digital checking, real-time court management. So we're in the center of Silicon Valley, maybe there's software we can adopt.
We don't have that currently. We have we have software in place for permits, creating permits. We do that for our room rentals and fields and USTA tennis matches. So and pickleball tournaments. So we have a process for creating permits, but that's kind of where it stops. So, in terms of digital check-ins, we don't have that. It still takes a lot of staff power because to have a permit that follows the policies, staff have to make sure that's happening. So we have to hold and touch each one of these permits. So we kind of have the bare minimum, but none of the additions that would really be required for something like this.
Sort of follow-up, do we have other jurisdictions, say neighboring cities? How do they use dual-strapped or multi-use courts effectively practice? Is there a best practice, or do they tend to increase user conflict or administration burden? Do we have some comparative data we can, conversation with them to learn the best practices?
I think when it comes to dual stripes, we actually did it pretty well with courts 6 and 7 in terms of creating priority times, listening to both user groups, really trying to touch on the specifics. When it comes to dual striping, a lot of cities have followed our lead on that, but there's no avoiding conflicts because they're both there, and ultimately, they both would like to have this space on their own. So I can't point to a neighboring city that could say that there's no conflict when it comes to dual striping. We have done it in the past pretty well. I haven't seen it avoid either you're increasing demand and you can't answer to that demand, or there's just ongoing conflict between user groups.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, great work, thanks.
Any other commissioners for clarifying questions? Commissioner Dane.
Yeah, thank you, Adam, for this detailed report. I just noticed we have a attachment A for the court counts. Would you mind sharing how we can explain or demonstrate that table works? Because I think a lot of the community members might not understand.
Sure, thank you for that. So with that spreadsheet, you can see we listed the locations of the courts on the left-hand side. So Mitchell Park, Rinconada, Palo Alto High School, Cubberley, and then across the top are the dates that we were there and the times that we checked it. And we try, again, you'll see like 10 or 15 minutes before we have to drive from location to location. And then just in terms of colors, if something is red, that means on that particular day and that particular time, everything was full. I put on the top green, that indicates a weekend day. And then yellow was an open court, meaning there was no one on it when we checked. And it was like Cubberley, we wouldn't highlight it if it was dark, because we're just suggesting that it's dark. So if it's highlighted, that means it was available for use in terms of daylight, and it was free. There was no one on it.
Thank you. That's very extensive and detailed. Great work.
Commissioner Axelrod.
Thanks for the great report, Adam. And I guess we're in Palo Alto pretty lucky to have an amazing resource like Mitchell Park, and it just seems like we're a little over carrying capacity. So it's lovely that we have that. A couple of quick clarifying questions. One is, parking concerns seem to be pretty paramount. I was wondering if there was any out-of-the-box solutions that were considered for other parking locations or subleasing them from private lots, or however that has could be done. And secondarily, on the lighting Cubberley project, is that stopped as it is, or is there more investigation that's evaluating whether that's a potential in the future?
So for parking, we really only looked at the Mitchell Park parking lot since we have ownership of that. I think you'll hear from the pickleball club that they've looked at some of the surrounding neighbors and larger parking lots. We didn't do that. We just don't feel comfortable driving parking to parking lots that we don't own. But there are public streets and parking lots in the area. Second part of that. Sorry.
Lighting Cubberley, is that ongoing?
So I think that's still looked at because I think it would be an asset to the tennis community. But currently, we're not looking at it as a trade-off in terms of like we only light it if we provide pickleball courts. I think in long term, that would be great for the tennis community. And since Cubberley's being addressed as long-term plans, I think that's something that can continue to be discussed. I just don't see it as like a trade-off.
Thank you.
Okay, any other commissioners? I do have one. You mentioned that there's 20, I think you said 27 tennis courts that are let, is that correct? No, 10 that are let, right?
Yeah, it's 27 in our inventory.
Okay.
10 are lit. That's Palo Alto.
So that, out of that 10, the 4 courts at Mitchell Park are part of that inventory. So if you were to take 2 of those tennis courts, it would reduce it from
10 to 8.
10 to 6, 10 to 8, right,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay. And as far as you mentioned the new housing that's going in over at, I think it was
The Baylands Athletic Center area, yeah.
Any thoughts on that happening? I think you mentioned, so that's something that could happen at the same time. But I know that there's other cities that have put in place, I guess you call no noise paddles and balls. And could be a consideration that if that was going to be something that would happen at the same time that the housing was going up, that could be a rule that could be implemented for that particular pickleball location. Is that something you think we could think about doing? Not negate it, not move it up, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of what that conversation would have to look like, is there ways to, if both are built with each other in mind, meaning not only the physical structures, but the rules that we put in place there, could we do it in such a way that they could coexist? Yes, but it seems, I'm hesitant only because there's a lot of concerns when you put pickleball next to residents. But it could be worth a conversation.
There are other cities that have implemented policies like that, so I don't think we would be one off in doing something like that. So it's something we should.
People are trying all over.
Okay. All right, Commissioner.
The public's been waiting an hour and 20 minutes. I suggest we get to the public.
Any other commissioners? Okay, let's move on to public comments.
Okay, so we currently have 37 public comments in person and 2 online via Zoom. So the first speaker will be Harriet S., who has, in lieu of speaking in public, has chosen to submit a video. So I'll be showing the 1-minute video here. Okay, our next speaker also has chosen to, yeah. The computer froze.
Okay.
I got a blue screen on this side. I'm not sure if we're still live.
Can you move on maybe
Yeah.
to public comment
Yes.
in person? Are you able? I can move my computer over.
Okay, up next in person, we have Hope C.
Shall I start? Thank you, Adam, for that thoughtful report. Thank you, commissioners, chairs, and councilperson for the opportunity to deliver these remarks. I'm Hope Chang. I'm a longtime Palo Alto resident, decades, and me and my family, we live near Mitchell Park. We really appreciate the rich opportunities it provides us to connect with our community, our neighbors, cultural events. The sport of tennis is very special to me and my family because, one, my husband has been trying for a little while to teach me this klutz, and it's slowly making progress. But besides bonding as a family, this is how we connect with our neighbor Walter, a retired Stanford professor, our new friends Kala, Jennifer, Patrick. So we really appreciate the opportunity to keep these courts here so that we can have these experiences connecting with our community. So thank you.
Okay. Could we
Yeah, God.
pause on the applause, please?
Yeah, up next, we have Joyce R., followed by Yang G.
Thank you, Council. Adam, there you are. Thank you for your really thoughtful report. I'm Joyce Reynolds. I moved to Palo Alto in 1978, and I'm also the past board chair of the Magical Bridge Foundation. I don't play tennis or pickleball right now, and I appreciate how many people want to play and what the issue the Park and Recreation is facing. But what I haven't heard, and I appreciated your excellent report, but the impact on Magical Bridge and the people who attend there, these are people with special needs who have an opportunity to be with the whole community. And as you saw from the video that Harriet did, you can't even talk to somebody because of the noise. And Adam, I was disappointed that you did not show how close the Magical Bridge Foundation is in your highlights to the pickleball and the impact that that has had. So I would really strongly ask you to consider, that is the only place that Palo Alto has invested in a special needs community.
Thank you, your time has expired.
Thank you.
Up next, we have,
I just want to remind everyone not to do any audible clapping, please. Thank you. We can move along pretty quickly if we
up
don't.
next we have Yang G, followed by Nadia.
And just as a reminder, the chair has allotted each individual 1 minute.
My name is Yang. I just want to say converting tennis court to pickleball court is a shortcut. It's a very bad shortcut. It hurts the community. Mitchell Park is a multi-purpose park. It serves all the people around there. So when I try to organize a social match for the evening, I find it's very hard. I felt very stressed. Me and a friend, we have to go to different courts to to wait. So I hope we can keep those tennis courts.
Up next, we have Nadia, followed by Cheryl K.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm a tennis mom with 2 tennis children. I have the privilege of playing with many Palo Altans. A lot of my team opponents and teammates are there. Raise your hand. I'm for more tennis courts and more pickleball courts. I think with the epidemic of loneliness in the US, more social sports can only be really good for our community. Let me just tell you about the solution that my small town in southern Philippines has come up. That's where my mom plays tennis, which has been very popular in my town, and she wakes up at 4 a.m. to get to the courts at 5, where it's practically packed by then. And so the pickleballers in that town had considered that sports as completely distinct from tennis. They've never asked to share the courts, and they've never asked to repaint the lines. In that part of the world, it seems unthinkable and downright impolite to encroach on a well-loved facilities of another vibrant community.
Your time has expired.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Cheryl K., followed by Merlani H.
That was Cheryl, and my name is Melanie H. I'm a Palo Alto resident living only 3 minutes from Mitchell Park. My kids practically grew up in the playground and library, and I spend a lot of time at the tennis court over there. I strongly support keeping the tennis court as they are. The park already struggles with parking and restroom capacity. Expanding pickleball will increase congestion and make the experience for the whole park visitor even worse. I've also been a long-time tennis captain, and many of my teammates have told me that Palo Alto public courts are their happy place, and we do want to keep it that way. Tennis is not just exercise, they build community, we build friendship and connection in that court. We even accepted the recent 25% residency requirement for Palo Alto-based tennis team, because I understand the goal was to give more priority to Palo Alto residents. That makes sense, but if we reduce tennis court too, you are making it even harder for tennis players, youth and adults to actually play here.
Your time has expired.
Thank you for your time.
Up next is Kala M., followed, or was that Kayla? Sorry if I mispronounced that. Followed by Tracy F.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Carla McBrain. I live in Palo Alto. I'm a long-time tennis lover. I started playing tennis 20 years ago when I was a student in graduate school in Michigan. Both of my 2 kids play tennis, and I frequently taken my younger one to the Mitchell Park tennis court to play tennis. And we do not want any of the tennis courts in Mitchell Park to be converted, really. I'm here to speak for opposing that proposal. And we, in the tennis community, do not want that kind of proposal to come back again, because we have to deal with this every year. It's not very nice. So now when I told my 11-year-old that the plan of conversion, she goes, "Why? How come, Mom? There are already so many pickleball courts there in the park. Maybe they should convert some of the pickleball courts back to a tennis court." Thank you.
Yes. Up next is Tracy F., followed by David M.
Hi, my name is Tracy, and I've been living in Palo Alto for 30 years, and I'm a tennis player. One of the things that wasn't mentioned is that courts 1 and 2 are mostly used for instruction, which means if you take away courts 3 and 4, Mitchell Park is just not available for the public for social tennis. Another thing I want to mention is when you go there on weekends, there are certain elder players that look like they've been playing there forever. They come at the same time, they have the 4 people, they've been playing there forever. And if those courts are taken away, I don't know where they're gonna go, but it just feels, I don't know if they're represented here, but it just feels really unfair for those people that are actually using the courts to have those taken away. Thank you.
Up next is David M., who will be speaking on behalf of a group of 5 or more, will be allotted 5 minutes.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. My name's Dave McQuarrie. I've been a resident of Palo Alto for 10 years. I've been a father to a special needs child for 20 years, and I've been playing tennis for more than 40 years. I'll go with that. Tennis courts are a long-term resource that the community is serving to children, to leagues, to seniors, of course to parents, and to adaptive participants. Once these courts are converted, they are rarely converted back, and over time we steadily lose the recreational diversity that we offer our community. This issue is also a personal one for me. My daughter Maya has special needs, and tennis has been an outlet for her. Sometimes it's tough to get her to tennis, but once she gets there and when she's back, the joy that she feels and that we see on her is profound. The structure, the space, the rhythm of the game and the support of the local volunteer coaches gives us and gives her an opportunity to participate comfortably and successfully in a very safe sport. Losing these courts would directly affect families like ours. Popularity growth alone should not be a reason to reduce the services that are afforded to a wide group of members of the community. And I would just finish with this suggestion, and I'm not going to use all my time. I think you've all been here long enough. I know there are a lot of people behind me. I would encourage the Commission to also consider the broader community, the many residents who may never attend a meeting like this, to voice how much they use and how much joy they get, but who still rely on access to Palo Alto's public tennis courts. Thank you.
Up next, we have Jet K, followed by Olenka V.
Hi, good evening. This is Jet. I'm captaining a USTA Adult League tennis team, and I'm also a Palo Alto resident. This season, for instance, we had 10 matches and hosting 5. I requested our preferred time, 3 preferences, and all were declined due to the courts unavailabilities. If 2 more courts are converted to pickleball courts, it'll be very difficult to secure courts to host matches, and we already have Palo Alto resident requirement imposed, and we are trying to get more resident play for our team, and I strongly ask not to be converted to pickleball courts. Thank you.
Up next is Olenka V, followed by Tom N.
Good evening, everyone. Adam and staff, thank you for that recommendation. And I am Olenka Villarreal, a longtime Palo Alto resident, and I'm also the one that started the Magical Bridge Playground, specifically Palo Alto being the first. I want to be very clear and say I am not anti-pickleball, but I am about placement, who is having the time of their life and who is being displaced. So when I sort of started this whole adventure of Magical Bridge, I came before the city over 18 years ago and indicated that most ADA compliant playgrounds here, really around the country, are not designed to include families like my own and many others, the 1 in 4 that have a visible or invisible member of their family having a disability. And so they offered me this beautiful little quadrant outside of where we are today, and it was magical because it was close to Ability Path, it was close to Ada's Cafe, Achieve Kids. We could not be more thrilled. And after 7 long years, we raised the money, did the playground, and you know, here we are 10 years later. We're very proud that this Magical Bridge has brought guests from all over the world marveling about the inclusive nature and so on. And in the early years, we had the tennis courts, and they were quiet neighbors, if you will. And then, of course, pickleball took residence. And I understand the enthusiasm for the sport. But for the 1 in 31 people living with autism, sensory sensitivities, PTSD, dementia, other disabilities, that constant high-pitch pop is not just background noise. It is distress, anxiety, and it overwhelms these individuals. Families are now leaving the playground. They're not able to enjoy it as much because they just can't tolerate the sound. And these courts do intensify a problem that already conflicts with the mission of that park. As you can tell by my shirt, when I say all ages, all abilities, all welcome, that should be what our park does for all Palo Altans. It should be serving us all. And so with Ability Path, my own daughter Ava is there. She represents now a group of people in the back of Ability Path. They're the most marginalized of our community here. They are the people that are not verbal. They rely on the playground. They rely on the park to walk across, roll across. in a safe way, a quiet way, and be able to have some respite. They are no longer able to do that. One of the members was almost hit by a car the other day. So it has changed tremendously. So again, I want to say we are not anti-pickleball. We are asking, I'm asking on behalf of the many families that couldn't be here, we are asking for equity and consideration. No one wants this noise within earshot of their homes. So why is the one corner of the city's most marginalized people that have these services, why are they supposed to inherit this noise situation? So we'd like Mitchell Park to return to its roots of inclusion. Please do not force the most vulnerable members to once again be the ones expected to tolerate what others would never tolerate for themselves. So I thank the Parks and Rec Commission for helping restore Mitchell Park to what it was always meant to be, a place for every member of this community. And I ask that you please make Mitchell Park magical again. We welcome your suggestion to move the pickleball courts in a location where they can enjoy their space, have plenty of parking, and play 24/7. Thank you.
Up next is Tom N., followed by Robbie K.
Good evening, Commissioner. Thank you for your time. So what's in front of you tonight is about balance and fair equity use of space, public space for everyone at Mitchell Park. So here, we heard a lot, as you can see, ad nauseum, about pickleball courts want more space. They have about what, we're looking at the data, 80% of the resources versus tennis, 20%. So just on the merit alone, I think that you guys should reject their plea because it's really unfair use of public funding for just snuff out one community to build up another. I don't think that's a fair use of open space resources for everyone, especially when you talk about inclusion. So I urge that, you support to keep the status quo as it is, because as of now, we have a very hard time getting tennis time in. And I love tennis, and I can't seem to get enough time at Mitchell Park. That's where I live.
Your time has expired.
Thank you.
Up next is Robbie K., followed by Frank L.
Good evening. Mitchell Park for all. Mitchell Park is truly a gem amongst Palo Alto's parks. It's a community resource that's used by people of all ages for all activities. Increasing the already large footprint of pickleball will destroy the essential character of the park. I've been in the park for 40 years. Children, especially those at the Magical Bridge Playground, are already being seriously disrupted. Picnic goers, Tai Chi practitioners, other users of the nearby lawn and the playground are also affected. Pressure on parking, we've heard a lot of that already. Senior citizens in nearby residences are afraid to speak publicly, but are also affected by the noise. And finally, the expansion would severely affect tennis players, losing their only hub in South Palo Alto. 2 points. Palo Alto doesn't have a shortage of pickleball courts. Our neighboring cities do.
Your time has expired. Up next is Frank L., followed by, is it Feng L.? Is there Frank L.? Okay, moving on to, is it Feng L.? Okay, we will move on to the next person, which is it Comtron?
Good evening, everyone. Somebody suggests me to come and speak, and as a personal rule, I cannot say no to that. So I want to congratulate everyone here who use sport as a way to promote well-being to our life. With that said, I'm a tennis player, and I really appreciate Palo Alto have a lot of courts that really help me improve my well-being and It's really easy to find a good tennis player around here because of the infrastructure that Palo Alto provides, so I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Up next is Lawrence V, followed by, is it Wenshin H?
Hello, my name is Luke Vanderveld, Lawrence, and both of my younger kids learned to play tennis on those courts, and they're already mostly gone. And I just think it's unfair to take those away from the community that lives here in Palo Alto and that lives around those courts and doesn't have any other courts nearby. Again, nothing against pickleball. My wife actually plays pickleball sometimes, and she agrees with me in opposition to expanding the pickleball courts at this point. She's not here. She's at home with the kids. And I just want to say thanks for letting me speak, and please keep the tennis courts.
Up next, we have Ted F. Wenshin H, followed by Ted F.
Hi, thank you. My name is Wenshin. I'm a longtime, USTA captain, and I played at Mutual Park very often. And I noticed that Mutual Park is a multicultural park, served for multi-purposes with inclusion and with all different activities. Now, if a pickleball converts course into pickleball, and we don't have any courts available for public use because 1 and 2 are used by the coaches. Even look at Ricanada, court 5 and 6 are used by the coaches. We only have 4 courts at night for the whole Palo Alto citizens to play. And the noise level is horrendous. And I'm not too against the pickleball, but I think it should be moved to a proper place that have less impact on surrounding activities. So thank you.
Up next is Ted F, followed by Cliff C.
Hi there. Palo Alto resident for 20 years. Mitchell Park Courts is my home court. I support tennis and pickleball because we play both. I've seen, all the folks here are my friends, really. I've met them on these courts. There are 87-year-olds and their groups that I see play daily on these courts. To young kids, Min and Cash, who play every day after school. They get off, they ride their bikes from the adjacent schools and tell their parents to meet them there, right? And they're so dedicated. This is our future, okay? So please don't take their livelihoods, and these, they're old, young and old, don't take their livelihoods away from them. David Siegel, you have so much power with your club, and I encourage you to please focus that energy and the persistence to finding a solution that doesn't negatively impact other folks in the community. Thank you.
Okay, please refrain from the clapping, please.
Up next is Cliff C, followed by Robert C or V. I wasn't unsure there, but yeah.
Hi, I'm Cliff Chambers, and I'm president of the Mountain View Pickleball Club. We have 6 dual-stripe courts at Rengstorff Park and 2 dedicated courts. Our council has decided they want new dedicated courts, and a proposal is coming to them in late June for a private property public pickleball facility. The details have not been announced, but I just want to let you know that other cities are really trying to increase the supply of pickleball to take off the demand from Mitchell Park. And by the way, I know you'll cut me off, but we have no conflicts at all with our dual stripe courts. In fact, we have an agreement with the tennis club on the shared hours that we negotiated. It works really well, and I think there's an opportunity. But we do support pickleball is growing exponentially, and we all need to expand pickleball courts in some
Thank you. Your
capacity.
time has expired.
Excuse me, sir, I would like to add because he's not speaking the truth. I do have the conflict video.
Could we have, please, if you can't control yourself, please. Next speaker, please.
Up next is Robert C. or V. I think it's Chan, Robert Chan, possibly.
It's C.
It's a C, okay.
Good evening, council members. I had a speech drafted, but I'll cut it short because others have already covered a lot of what I had in mind. So if you expand 2 more courts at Mitchell Park to pickleball, you will leave exactly 1 lit court available for walk-on tennis with bathroom access in all of Palo Alto, because 7 of those 10 lit courts are routinely booked during peak hours between city instructors and USTA matches. Thank you.
Up next, we got Karina T. speaking on behalf of a group of 5 people.
Hello, my name is Karina Sang. I'm a junior at Gun High School. For the past 3 years, I've been a member of the Gun High Pickleball Club. When I started high school, playing pickleball helped me form a lot of new friendships that would become some of my strongest bonds. Many sports I have tried over the years are intimidating to play, but pickleball is easy to learn. The sport welcomes new players and players like me who aren't super athletic. I can play with friends who are more athletic and experienced than I am, yet we can still enjoy competitive and engaging games together. Based on personal experience, I find playing at Mitchell Park often challenging. The public courts at nights and on weekends are super crowded. This makes it hard for my friends to regularly meet up and play, and waiting takes a lot of time. Trying to play at Mitchell Park often feels like the long lines at an amusement park, which I think we can agree no one likes. I also took part in a free public league that was called the Experimental Pickleball League, hosted by the Palo Alto Pickleball Club. It was for a few weekends during the summer, and I enjoyed the team aspect of the play. The matches were fun, and I felt that the regular playing helped me really get to know the other players. I hope that Palo Alto will create and support opportunities for youth to play pickleball, and please consider providing space for youth use. The overcrowded conditions during the times when we want to meet up are both intimidating and a big deterrent. Please consider making it possible to host Palo Alto Youth Pickleball Leagues, just like you do for youth soccer, softball, and other sports, and the Palo Alto Pickleball Club has indicated that it would help make this happen. Pickleball helps foster a strong sense of community and has been an impactful part of my life over the past few years. If we give youth this space and opportunity to grow and engage, we can make our own pickleball communities in a safe and central location. Please support the expansion of pickleball courts at Mitchell Park. Thank you.
Up next, we have Max Z.
Hi, Commissioners. My name is Max Zhang, and I am a sophomore at Palo Alto High School and president of the Pali Pickleball Club. I'm here to not only represent the voices of Pali, but also to give you insight into what teens and kids feel about pickleball. So pickleball is special. So you may see many older adults playing pickleball at Mitchell Park and assume that pickleball is for elderly people. But no, pickleball is an all-around sport where anyone can play and where anyone can find community. This impact of pickleball does not only apply to adults. As president of the Pickleball Club at Pali, I have seen what pickleball means to high schoolers and how they perceive it. I'll use myself an example. I started playing pickleball during the COVID-19 pandemic after my mom found pickleball a great way to have some fun with her family. Now as a 15-year-old, I have schoolwork and extracurriculars to attend to, but I still find ways to play pickleball. I also play soccer, as the benefits of pickleball are similar, the most important being mental health, and pickleball has one advantage over other sports, which is playability and accessibility. Of course, I'm not encompassing all experience that people around my age have, but I believe that I represent as well after talking to so many of my peers. Now, as a school club, the Pali Pickleball Club represents the interest and growth in youth pickleball over the years. At the very beginning of the club, when the founder, Christian Su, first started the club, there were only 7 people. And then after a few days, the club grew to 9. In a month, the club had 20 people. So now, after 4 years, the club had grown steadily. Even though high school clubs rarely increase in size due to the graduation of seniors, Pali Pickleball Club is an exception. Over 4 years, the size of the club has grown 30% on year on average, an astounding amount compared to other clubs. Currently, 47 members have attended at least one time, which makes the club among the top 10 clubs at over 161 clubs at Pali. The growth of the club not only reflects the growth of pickleball at Pali, but also represents the speed at which the sport is growing at the youth level. With the growing community of youth pickleball players, you would think that there would be more youth playing at the public courts, such as Mitchell Park. Yes, youth are seldom seen at the Mitchell Parks. Why? Because the obvious reason is that it is daunting to go into a place full of adults, and it's pretty loud as well. We need to know when we can play at the courts outside of school hours and where to organize youth activities, and as a high school club, a place to engage other high schools. A common place designated for youth pickleball would not only open opportunities for youth players, but also enable a space to build a community with others the same age. Critics may say that youth just don't have time or are not interested in playing outside of school, but given the evidence in the few youth gatherings and tournaments organized by the PAPC, 20 to 50 kids usually attend every single time, rivaling even adults presently there. And designating 4 of the 8 expanded pickleball courts to prioritize youth over normal paddle down play would increase the amount of youth playing at the pickleball courts and minimize conflict by youth programs. The impact on the mental health of teens would also drastically outweigh the few cons stated by David, he will state. If we had space, then we can have some youth leagues, community events, and more many activities, as Karina has said. And so thus, to accommodate the rising popularity and need for public pickleball courts, and the advantages of having youth priority courts, please, for all Palo Alto youth, recommend the proposed expansion at Mitchell Park to the City Council. Thank you.
Up next is Long N.
Good evening. My name is Long Winsers, Palo Alto resident. Mitchell Park is very special. It's surrounded by 4 schools, Fairmeadow Elementary, Hoover Elementary, ZOS, and Challenger. A lot of students go there after school, and it's a very good place for children. So whatever you consider, please, whatever you decide, please consider that children need to have a healthy, safe, peaceful environment to learn, to read in a no-noise environment. Reading is a park, exciting feeling. So one statistic I provide you, City of Palo Alto, 15 pickleball court population, 67 people, 67,000. Mountain View, 9 pickleball courts, population 82,000. Santa Clara City, 16 pickleball courts, population 130,000.
Thank you. Your time has expired.
Thank you.
Up next is David S., speaking on behalf of a group of 10 or more. He's allotted 10 minutes.
Good evening, Commissioners. Before I start, I would like to thank the staff, and in particular Adam Howard, for his support of this transformational sport of pickleball over the last 9 years, where the courts at Mitchell Park have become a place of refuge and solace for so many. Hello again, my name is David Siegel. I'm a 35-year resident and president of the Palo Alto Pickleball Club. I represent both our membership and thousands of people that utilize our beloved courts. Before I continue, I would like everyone in this room who enjoys pickleball at Mitchell Park to very, very quietly raise your hands without applause. Thank you. I stand before you today not simply as an advocate for pickleball. I stand here as someone who has watched the sport quietly, profoundly save lives. Please, before you decide anything, I need you to truly hear what is at stake. During the darkest days of COVID, when our city fell silent and our neighbors retreated behind closed doors, something remarkable happened at our courts. People who had nothing, no connection, no purpose, no reason even to get out of bed, found their way to a pickleball court. And there, in the simple act of showing up alone and being welcomed into a game by strangers, they found a reason to keep going. I'm not speaking in metaphors. I am telling you that for some of our neighbors, pickleball was the difference between despair and hope, between isolation and belonging, between darkness and life. And for some, it still is. Imagine for a moment you're 70. Your children have grown and moved away. Your world has grown quiet and small. You drive to Mitchell Park hoping for a game, walk up to the courts and see mobs of people and paddles stacked in the rack. So you get back in your car and you go home alone again. That is the reality for so many people in our community every single day. And if you choose the status quo, that will remain their reality tomorrow. Or imagine you're a teenager in the city, one of the loneliest generations in American history, craving unscripted, face-to-face connection that no phone can provide. On June 14th, coming up, students from the Gun and Pally pickleball clubs will gather with the Palo Alto Pickleball Club at Mitchell Park for a youth event. Real competition, real laughter, real friendship. Our proposal includes 4 dedicated youth courts because our children deserve more of these moments, not fewer. Adam's report didn't mention this. I wish it had. This commission understands that the stakes of the youth mental health. The city and PAUSD recently approved $1.7 million for a single year to put track monitors at our 4 train crossings as a suicide deterrent. Well, pickleball won't solve that crisis alone, but research consistently shows it reduces isolation and builds belonging among teens. The return on investment will be substantial, as evidenced by the social benefits the existing courts already have provided to adults. These examples sum up the 2 primary reasons for our proposal. It is not just about reducing wait times. It is about taking the "no more room for newcomers" sign off the courts so the joy and benefits of pickleball can reach more people, and about our club being able to host more community events like the youth gathering I just described in partnership with the city. Every day we see youth who are struggling. We see elders who are lonely. We see adults of all ages looking for community. For a great many of these people, pickleball can be a powerful antidote. But demand already exceeds capacity. People are sitting at home because the courts are full, while other courts around town, as Adam mentioned, sit idle. People who could be playing, meeting new friends, and building deeper ties to the community. To better serve this broader community, we worked hard with the city and other organizations to address concerns about expansion. On parking, we secured 35 spaces from Ability Path, far beyond any needed by expansion. We are discussing additional parking with the Unitarian Church. We met with Magical Bridge and the city about sound barriers and have offered to pay for them if feasible. We sat down with the tennis club president, the Pally tennis coach, and recently the Palo Alto Youth Council. We have even offered to fund lights at Cubberley to expand tennis availability after dark. We have shown up every single time with love for this community, not an obligation to it. What is most glaringly absent from the report is anything about the undisputed health, mental and physical, social, and community-building benefits of pickleball. Some items in the report are worth highlighting. There is no dispute about the long waits and the crowding at the 15 pickleball courts, while demand on the 54 tennis courts is much less. And the report notes that, quote, courts were generally available at several other locations throughout Palo Alto during the same periods when the pickleball courts at Mitchell Park were fully occupied, unquote. On parking, despite numerous references to issues, of 68 periods, the report states, quote, parking was observed to be fully occupied during only 1 observational period, which coincided with a community center rental event. Those are Adam's words, not mine. It is also supposition that expansion will increase Palo Alto's regional popularity as a pickleball destination. Data suggests the opposite. Our non-resident membership has fallen from 50% to 40% over 5 years as nearby cities, like Cliff just mentioned, expanded or improved their facilities. And roughly 100 new commercial courts have opened, including 2 large facilities in Milpitas and San Jose, and a new six indoor courts near Costco in Mountain View will open in January. I agree with Adam that the Bayland site is not realistic given ecological noise and cost issues. And while everyone would welcome a new site, The constraints of proximity to residents, ecological concerns, and development costs make that simply unrealistic. Before you is a binary decision. We either expand at Mitchell Park or we deny the benefits of pickleball to new players, especially youth, and severely limit our ability to expand community programming. This process has in some way framed the issue as tennis versus pickleball. That's exactly wrong. The real conversation is pickleball versus loneliness, pickleball versus depression, pickleball versus community. The staff recommendation rests primarily on concerns about traffic, parking, and noise. Those are legitimate concerns, and we take them very seriously. But we ask the commission to weigh them against what is on the other side of the scale, a city goal of improving the social and mental health of our residents. Choosing the status quo is a choice, and it has consequences for the health and social cohesion of the city. The club has had thousands of members over its 10 years. We're not a fringe interest. We are your neighbors, your parents, your seniors, your teenagers, and we are asking with full hearts for the repurposing of only 2 of the 54 public tennis courts for 8 pickleball courts that would cost the city almost nothing. Doing nothing is not a neutral choice. It is a choice to tell lonely seniors that the door is closed. It is a choice to tell our teenagers there is no space for them. It is a choice to let a community building miracle wither for want of space that is easily obtainable. All we are asking today is for the courage to take one more step. So I don't just ask you, I beg you to think of the 70-year-old driving home alone. I beg you to think of the teenager who needs just somewhere to belong. I beg you to think of the neighbor for whom these courts are not a hobby, but a lifeline. We're not asking you to ignore our neighbors' concerns. We're asking you to ensure those concerns are not given any more weight than the health and well-being of a community, and the thousands more who could benefit from it if capacity was expanded. So please, make the motion. Put it to a vote. Change lives. The opportunity is right here in front of you. Please don't let it slip away. Thank you.
Could I ask you not to use any audible clapping, please?
Up next, we have Jack Kay.
Hello, my name is Jack Coleman. My wife and I were both born and raised in Palo Alto. We were still residents. That would be 1953. In 2019, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's. The disease primarily affects my right and dominant side, so I taught myself to play left-handed, to keep the game I love in my life. Pickleball helps me feel good both physically and mentally. Since I started playing pickleball at Mitchell Park, I made friends and soon had a cadre of people that I played with regularly. As pickleball became more popular, we found ourselves spending more time waiting to play than playing. So about 4 years ago, we shifted to Ringsdorf Park. I have not played in Palo Alto since. The Parkinson's Foundation supports pickleball as highly beneficial for those of us afflicted with this disease. It also states, and I quote, "The social nature of the game boosts mental health and emotional well-being." I see a neurologist once a year, and after the exam, she says, "Whatever you are doing, keep doing it because it's working." I golf, ride bikes, and walk, but pickleball is what I live for. While I would love to return to less busy courts closer to home, I mainly feel sorry for those residents with afflictions like mine who won't even take up the sport due to the crowds at Mitchell. Thanks.
Up next is Henry R., followed by Peter F.
Good evening. Henry Riggs. I'm an officer with the Palo Alto Tennis Club. You're probably lucky I won't even try to match the 10-minute speech that you just heard. I also don't particularly want to be adversarial. I'm here to thank this commission and particularly Adam. Good to see you, by the way. And appreciate the many thoughtful comments that have been made, everything from magical bridge to simple practical conflicts between the way tennis is scheduled and the way pickleball is scheduled. But I also want to acknowledge that, or at least point out, there isn't a way that converting 2 tennis courts in demand to pickleball is going to solve a youth crisis. And I'm sorry to be so blunt.
Your time has expired.
I just hope you will not rob Peter to pay Paul. Build new courts.
Expired, sir.
Ask for funding. Thank you.
Up next is Peter F., followed by Vittorio F.
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. I'm Peter. I'm a parent at the Challenger School, which is right next to the pickleball course in Mitchell Park. And earlier, I experienced some mental health issues. Playing tennis and getting reconnected to the community at Mitchell Park greatly helped me recover. Without the tennis course in Mitchell Park, my recovery and all those great friendships wouldn't have been possible. And also, I have a lot of respect for people who play pickleball, and I understand the game is developing very fast. But the reality is that this sport is really noisy. As a parent of students who is right next to the pickleball course, the noise there really greatly affect their day-to-day learning. Not to mention also the magical bridge, the community there are also, I have to say, disturbed by all the noises. So I really hope that the city can find a way to both support recreation while also protect the learning environment and also the overall benefit of the community.
Thank you. Your time has expired.
Thank you.
Up next is Vittorio F., followed by Ann C.
Good evening, and thank you for listening to me. I would like to point to the difference in the availability of tennis courts and pickleball courts. There may be tennis courts that are not as crowded as pickleball courts, but if you try to go on a tennis court and you have made arrangements with 1, 2, maybe 4 people, and you don't find the tennis courts in one part, you have to go to another area of the city, and sometimes you have to go to 2 or 3, and you don't end playing. In pickleballs, you get there, it's social, and there is a much bigger rotation, and the likelihood that you will not be able to play is very low. And furthermore, if you take Mitchell out, you take lead courts out, and in the evening you have only 4 courts. Thank you.
Up next is Ann C., followed by Jared P.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Ann Cribbs, an Olympian from 1960, believing tremendously in the value of sport for all of us, whether it's pickleball or tennis or swimming or track and field or anything else. First of all, I want to say thanks to Adam, but also to the commissioners and to the community for all of your very thoughtful and passionate discussion of this issue. And I really believe that we live in an incredible community with incredible facilities. And I would like to see all of us see how we can work together to make the changes that need to be made with the conversion of the tennis courts to pickleball, which I support, first of all. I also support the quick movement toward getting lights at Cubberley as soon as we can, because that would extend for sure the use of tennis to the evening. And finally, I'd love to see us restart the joint commission task force that we thought about a couple of years ago, the tennis and pickleball people working together to achieve a really good solution for Palo Alto. I think it's really important. Everybody's a really smart
time has
person here
expired.
and can get it done. Thank you.
Up next is Jared P., followed by Jenny L.
Hi, thanks. I'm Jared. Yeah, I'm just a casual tennis player who was handed a flyer and was curious what was even going on here. And so just watching all of this, it's pretty crazy. But I thought the recommendation from Adam made a lot of sense. Looking at it, it's really obvious that there's a lot more pickleball players than tennis players. And if you've even gone there, you'll see that. But the tennis courts get good use. However, from listening to people talk, it's pretty clear that if pickleball takes over a couple courts, they're just kind of taking over the whole park, and that's how multiple parties are going to feel. And I just don't understand why pickleball doesn't go to Cubberley or the high school or just some other location. That seems to make the most sense to me based on what I've witnessed here. That's all. Thanks.
Up next is Jenny L., followed by, is it Mingxia Z?
Hi, Adam. Thanks for the report. As a tennis fan, I encourage us to not be blinded by the possibility of dual stripe or the multiple benefits of pickleball. That does not negate the main issue, which is noise. Chairman Freeman, you had a question on what do other cities do? Well, Boise, Idaho did convert their tennis courts to pickleball, and they had to revert them back to tennis due to legal settlement due to noise. So I urge the commission to consider that noise is a true disturbance, and there's legal precedence when noise ordinances are not considered. My second point is for the marginalized community at Achieve Kids. They are next door to the proposed courts. Their outdoor space is where the loud pickleball popping is. We cannot even tolerate residential housing being next to these areas, but these marginalized kids who cannot speak for themselves need to have a voice and need to have their space to try to emotionally regulate. Thank you.
Up next, we have Mingxia Z, followed by Cash.
Good evening, everyone. Last year, John won the Stevens House. The president of Stevens House Board of Directors stated that there's no one complained the noise in the building. That was not accurate. Some resident told me that John Wang does not address their concerns, and he doesn't represent them. They complained that the noise started from early morning until 10 p.m. at night. So some even could not take a nap during that time. They complained that it was not alive, and they helped remove the pickleball court. I heard their all signature, and I heard they tested me about all this information. That's all. Thank you.
Up next is Cash.
This is my son, Cash, and he and I bond over tennis. There are 4 courts at Mitchell, down to 2, make it virtually impossible for us to play anymore and continue our bonding. You'd like to say a couple?
After school every day, I play tennis with my dad, and sometimes I meet with my friends. And when I meet with my friends, it gives me a bonding experience between them, and it makes our friendship bigger. And it gives me a chance to get better at tennis. And I really like playing tennis. And my dad has taught me how to play tennis also, along with my 2 coaches. It is a good place for me to hang out after school, and I get healthier every single day I play. And without these courts, where will I go? Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker, let's try this again. I'm going to pull up a video. They chose to submit a video in lieu of speaking in a public comment. So let's try this again. Hopefully the computer doesn't crash this time. So. Come on. Let me stop. go back here, do this.
Eric, if we're having, oh, okay,
We're good.
okay.
All right.
The one thing about pickleball is it's a very noisy game. And so there aren't very many places you can play. And that's why we focused on Mitchell Park, because there are no residences close by. The one
Our next speaker via Zoom will be Brian N. Doesn't seem to be responding. So we'll move on. Our next speaker will be Karen H.
I was here, the audio was off.
Oh, sorry about that. We can go back. Sorry, Karen, please wait. Brian N.
Thank you so much. I'm Brian Nider, CEO of Ability Path and Learning Links. We're adjacent to the pickleball courts as well as Magical Bridge. And the issue for us is that the challenge that the pickleball courts caused to a oasis that was created for individuals with developmental disabilities and learning differences. They have very few places to go. And I heard David talk about an oasis. It is an oasis that was built specifically for that community. We are not against pickleball. We work effectively with David and the pickleball club. It's about expanding it at this time versus finding a longer term solution that meets the needs of the pickleball players as well as tennis players, and while protecting a underserved group that has very few options. And to take that away and make it almost unusable because of noise is a travesty. It's a travesty. Magical Bridge was built for that community. Pickleball has grown to expand because of demand. Great. Find another long-term solution elsewhere.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Up next is Karen H. Oops. Karen?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you to staff for your diligence and ask you to consider the following. Those with developmental disabilities are considered sensitive receptors by CEQA. And while there is certainly no CEQA analysis here, the standards do give us a clue as to the criticality of the consideration before you. I refer here to Magical Bridge and to Achieve Kids. And second, I point the Parks and Rec Commission to a city policy regarding the planting of trees, a program that you all are surely very aware of. And the program is right tree in the right place. The wisdom in that guidance is specifically to avoid conflict, something that also applies here. Thank you.
And then our last speaker will be Brian W.
Hello.
We can hear you.
I believe Mitchell Park, as other people have said, should be inclusive. It needs to include all different parts of the community, and not one activity should overpower all the others. And that's exactly is what happening with pickleball. It is causing overcrowding issues, noise issues, parking issues, and limiting and restricting the activities of other activities, people going to the library, birthday parties, and people attending, kids who want to go to the Magical Bridge Playground. Did you know that there are some amazing soundscape features within the Magical Bridge Playground? Those are no longer audible due to the amount of noise coming from the adjacent pickleball courts. Instead of expanding pickleball, I believe the city should look at ways to restricting pickleball in order to kind of control things and allow these other activities to flourish. Thank you.
There are no more speakers at this time.
Okay, thank you. And I do want to thank all members of the public from both tennis and pickleball communities who took the time to speak tonight and share your comments, perspectives, and concerns with the commission. We appreciate the respectful dialogue, the passion of both communities have for their sport, and the thoughtful input that has been provided throughout this process. Your feedback is important to us and will help guide our discussions this evening and future recommendations as we continue working towards a balanced and fair approach for the entire community. Before I move on to the rest of the commission, I think the ad hoc, which is I'm a member of the ad hoc along with Commissioner Brown, and I can say that this has been a difficult issue to work through because there are passionate and valid perspectives on all sides. I also want to acknowledge and applaud what the pickleball community has achieved over the past several years. The growth of the program and the level of community engagement has truly been impressive, and it's clearly reflects the value the sport brings to many residents, from youth to older adults, as a lot of the speakers here have indicated tonight. At the same time, continue to feel somewhat conflicted about converting additional tennis courts simply because one sport is growing in popularity. In the past, we've attempted to strike a balance between two tennis courts that were converted and felt like a reasonable compromise at the time. Then one of the concerns I continue to have is understanding where the balance point ultimately is, particularly if additional conversions simply create more long-term pressure for future requests. What I also appreciate about the report that Adam gave is that it recognizes this discussion is broader than just court demand. It also, as he indicated, involves parking, involves noise, operational impacts of surrounding park amenities, nearby residents, and overall user experience at an already heavily utilized park. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the many residents who took the time to send letters and share their concerns. I think Adam indicated we had something like over 200 letters, and I know I did, and I'm sure most of the commissioners have done as well. We read those and listened to all of the input from tonight's comments as well. The input has been important and helpful throughout this process. What I'm most interested in hearing today is your perspective, and that's what we've heard, on where things stand now. And as I indicated earlier, this is not a slam dunk. It's not an end of the process. We still have a lot of work to do. I've been on a commission for 4 years, and I think this has been at the commission probably 3 or 4 times, and it's not something that's going to go away. I think as a lot of, there's enjoyment and health on both sides. So we want to continue the dialogue. I think as Ann Cripps, one of our speakers, has indicated, there's a need to get both communities together so that we can share the experience and be able to work out a solution. I've played at a number of cities in Southern California and other places, and they're all faced with the same issue. There's never enough courts. But a lot of those organizations are constantly trying to find ways to be beneficial to both tennis and pickleball. And at the same time, we've got Mitchell Park. When you go there, whether it's in the morning, the noontime, or in the evening, it's a beehive of activity. So the city has done an excellent job of putting together a park where that's just brings everyone in the city together. So those are my comments. And like as I said, being part of the ad hoc has been going back and forth as to where we go with that. I'm going to put, as I said, Commissioner Brown is on the ad hoc with me. Comments.
Sure. Thank you, everyone, for who spoke tonight and who just is here in attendance. I'll try to keep my comments brief because it's not fair that you guys have a timer when we don't. I've been working on the courts probably on and off the entire time I've been on the commission. I think counting courts was one of the very first things I did when I joined the commission, and I had a really hard time keeping up with all the pickleball paddles because every time I went down to write down the number of people, more people would come up. So at one point I just wrote a little infinity sign because this is just more people coming. And that was 5 years ago. It's a wonderful community that's been built, and I think staff has been very responsive. The Parks Master Plan says that at least every 5 years, the city should evaluate demand and capacity of major recreation facilities, including pools, gyms, and tennis courts. Adam and staff have worked to do that almost annually with pickleball and tennis, especially at Mitchell Park. So been very responsive. Adam has sliced through the red tape and of local government to just make sure that we're being responsive, both in policies and actual striping of the courts. So I just want to commend the pickleball community and staff for moving quickly as the demand has grown so quickly. It's not an easy feat. Space is at a premium. It's hard to find space, especially space for an activity like pickleball. I grew up in Palo Alto and we had a bowling alley and an arcade. We just don't have space for those types of facilities anymore. But I do appreciate the comments regarding mental health and creating opportunities for the youth to grow up in. And that's not lost on the commission. These are when we have conversations of trade-offs and making concessions, it's always going to be a very difficult conversation. And I think to echo Chair Freeman's comments, it's about finding balance, and it's not a forever answer. We will constantly evaluate that, and I think we've built a little bit of trust in that bank with Adam's great work and making sure that we're constantly revisiting this conversation and saying, is this working now? Let's take a fresh look at things. Going back to the balance, one of those guiding principles in the Parks Master Plan is balance, specifically not dominated by any one type of experience. It also mentions flexibility, specifically supports multiple uses across time with adaptable spaces. So I think I'm supportive of obviously the ad hoc's recommendation and staff's recommendation to pause at the expansion of pickleball in Mitchell Park currently, but not to pause at the effort of identifying future spaces for courts. I think we've done a great job at sort of, is there a space that's sort of readily available that we can move into quickly? But maybe we should be thinking about this more holistically. If we could create the dream pickleball location, where would it be? Would it be covered so that when it's raining outside and people are bummed out, they have somewhere to go? If we were to just collect all of that information instead of what's available, what kind of facility could we dream up? So really kind of taking off the barriers and opening up that conversation of what could be possible, even if it's not necessarily something that's we're ready to plug and play right away. I'm not in favor of the reservation system. I think it's like a regional activity, and I like the idea of being inclusive with our neighbors. So that was not something that I was supportive in terms of next steps. It was really about looking for other locations and to use the analogy of the tree that was brought up during public comment. Even if you were to expand the tree or maybe transplant it. Not saying that that is a recommendation, but just something to explore as we're looking for like a dream pickleball facility. It can grow into something even bigger, and you guys have already had such great success in sort of your found location, but let's see what's possible. And this commission is supportive of all of the diverse uses. It's just, this is the feedback we're hearing right now, and so that's, as being part of the ad hoc, is what I will be recommending to move forward. But thank you for everybody for coming out and voicing your opinions. And it's not lost on us. It's late. It's a lot of time, so I appreciate it.
Commissioner Deng?
I just want to express my empathy for both sides. Personally, I've played pickleball at Mitchell Park and tennis at Coverly, and both sports have brought tremendous value to my physical health, mental wellness, and social connections. It's easy to see why both communities feel so passionate about access to courts. At the same time, I appreciate the broader operational considerations outlined in the report, including parking, noise, user conflicts, and impacts on surrounding neighborhood. I think after reviewing Adam's report and analysis, I would like to respect and support the staff recommendation at this time. Moving forward, I would also love to see continued creative solutions and collaboration between both the pickleball community and tennis community, so we can find balanced ways to support recreation and the community connection for everyone in Palo Alto.
Vice Chair.
Thanks, Chair. I echo fellow commissioners and chairs' remarks about your passion for both sports, and also especially how to collaborate between pickleball and tennis club so we can work together. I also appreciate the strong advocacy from pickleball club. However, given that noise has been identified as one of the primary operational constraints at Mitchell Park, I would encourage the pickleball club to actively partner with staff on practical mitigation strategies and a shared accountability moving forward to reduce noise, and including exploring acoustic fencing, sound barrier panels, sound damping netting, curtain systems, vegetation buffers. One the public comment already mentioned, plant more trees around those areas can reduce noise, or quieter paddles, balls, court orientation, and spacing strategies, particularly because of proximity to the Magical Bridge playground, a very unique, important, inclusive space serving children of all abilities, including neurodiverse children and families seeking a calmer, more accessible environment, which I do appreciate and empathize. I think long-term sustainability will require not only increased recreational access, but also meaningful efforts to reduce operational impact on the broader community, and as well as in consideration of our staff time, who's been working very hard, and appreciate Adam and his team's thorough report on that. And also, I think the role of this commission is to evaluate the full spectrum of park impacts, not only demanding isolation. And this report clearly shows those impacts are already significant at Mitchell Park. Having said that, we should not give up looking for alternative or better space, and we have responsibility to balance recreational demand with the overall accessibility, comfort, and shared experience for all park users in the city and the region in the large. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Axelrod.
Thank you. So I'm a longtime tennis and slightly shorter time pickleball player and a frequent user of Mitchell. I really appreciate it. I have kids, library facilities, playgrounds. It's an amazing place. I think pickleball demand is very high and the benefits are very real that we cannot ignore. And I really appreciate all the parties looking to work together to provide a long-term balanced solution. What I understand from staff is that it is not ready for a conversion of courts as they stand right now, and I understand that. And I would hope that we can work with the parties involved here to come back with a longer-term plan that identifies potential expansion opportunities for pickleball while addressing the conflicts we've heard about at Mitchell, the parking, the noise. There are remediations, and I'd love to see if we can dig into those a little more, Adam, as we go and come back with a plan for those, and also continue to see what can be done for more lighted tennis in South Palo Alto, including use of things like Cubberley. So I'd love to see the conversation continue to move forward, even if we can't do it right now.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Kleinhaus.
So, thank you. I really appreciate everyone who came to speak today and the tremendous amount of work that staff and ad hoc did. It's definitely not easy to have two communities that are so passionate and receive so much benefit from essentially the same place. But to me, the group that came here to speak from Achieve Kids and from Ability Path and the Magical Bridge, the fact that they were not part of this conversation at all, not when the pickleball first came or later, is really troubling because we have a large community. If I look at our the principles of our Parks Master Plan, one of the principles was mentioned by Commissioner Brown, which was the balanced. But there's also one that says inclusive, responsive to the entire community of age, abilities, languages, culture, and levels of income. And the next one is accessible, easy for people of all abilities to use year-round and access by all model of travel. And I think we failed here. So that's very, very troubling to me. And I don't necessarily, I don't play tennis or pickleball, but I don't know that we really have looked at the entire picture here. And now we have another aspect at Mitchell Park of the new housing for people with developmental disabilities, and I don't know whether they'll be able to use their outdoor space there because of the sound. So we need to find solution for the sound no matter what. It has to, that has to be done whether there is expansion or no expansion. And in addition, I do think we need to look for another space or another solution. So I'm going to talk about Mountain View for a minute, because when Mountain View first looked at creating more pickleball, they looked at Cuesta Park. And there was a huge outcry from park users that didn't want the noise in their park, and from other users around them. So the city of Mountain View went and looked for a different solution. And as we've heard today, they're moving forward towards an agreement of some sort of public-private relationship with I'm not sure where, but it's supposed to come soon. And that will potentially release some of the pressure on our parks or on our pickleball, but also maybe that's the model we need to look at instead of trying to find a place in a park where there are a lot of users in the park. Some of them we heard today, but there's Tai Chi people in the morning. There's people do a lot of different things. The dog walkers, everybody's impacted by the noise. So we need to find, hopefully, an alternative place that is better than this one, really, for the entire community. And I do need to say something about the alternatives because, you know, you showed us the picture of potentially having something on Gang Road over by where the new housing is planned. But what we didn't mention, again, is what else is there, which is San Francisco Creek. And if you're going to bring noise and light into right next to a creek, that is another impact, which we need to consider because that's a natural, I mean, it's in flood walls and all, but there's still wildlife moving through there. We know that. There is still impacts to a living ecosystem inside the creek. So we can't ignore that either. And so I really hope that the pickleball club people themselves try and maybe with staff or somehow find a similar solution to what Mountain View is working on. I think that would be the best for everyone. And for now, I would support the staff recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Hitchcock King, I don't know if you want to make any comments or not. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Brown. Smith.
I need to apologize to the community. I moved here in 1960, and I played a lot of tennis. But here's where I failed you. When, I'll use the term we, Linka was the mother of the Magical Bridge, but we had an organization called Friends of the Palo Alto Parks. And I failed in several ways. We all patted ourselves on the back, Joe Simidian, Pat Bird, all of us. None of us said, wait a minute, we're going to bring in 600 kids a day, and we got 2 crappy bathrooms. All right? 5 years later, our friends at Pickleball came, and I don't know how many, but there's hundreds more. We have 2 crappy bathrooms. Now, one of the things I'm hoping by December or September, I hope, we'll have new 4-hole bathrooms. Okay. But here's where I failed. We got Magical Bridge going, and then we got pickleball. I don't know if Monica Williams is in the audience. She used to beat me all the time in tennis. I mean, just, it was not even fair, okay? She was so good. And she started the pickleball club. And I believe there's a bench there that says Monica Williams, the mother of Palo Alto Tennis Club. Now, here's where I failed. I even helped her in the early years, but I didn't concentrate on the sound. And what bothers me tonight, no one talked about new balls, new pallets, and all that. But here's where I failed, is the noise. And Monica, yes, is the mother of pickleball in Palo Alto. But what else is she? She's the mother of the Peninsula pickleball. And they're very proud now. We've gone from 60% members to 40% outsiders. Yes, we let the other communities not do pickleball. We filled that gap. And if we look at it from a Palo Alto standpoint, yes, it's nice to be with neighbors, but like the young man that came up, Santa Clara's, 1.5, 2 times our size, they have 6 courts. So if you look at the courts around the peninsula, we solved the problem. So, so I think we obviously have to work together. But what we did, and Monica did a great job, and others of getting more and more courts. And I did not think about sound, and that there's no question about sound. Maybe it's not the legal maximum, but it is the biggest thing. So to put the other 2 courts right next to Ada's Cafe, right across from a playground, doesn't make any sense. So we have to work together. But pickleball is not only Palo Alto's problem. And so I think we need to keep that in mind. And I am supportive of the commission's, Adam, your proposal. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Lichak-Haynes, you want?
Thank you, Chair. I'll just acknowledge that this is an incredibly challenging conversation for us to have as a community. I echo the comments of the tremendous passion shown by members of all sides. And it's a constant challenge in the city to balance the needs of various communities with limited budgets and limited land. And so I know that there's a lot of heart in the room right now, but there's some hard feelings as well. And I just hope that as we continue to move forward, we can all treat each other with kindness and compassion and work together on the solutions we desire. Thank you.
Thank you. So I move forward with a motion that the Parks and Recreation Commission supports staff's recommendation not to convert additional tennis courts at Mitchell Park at this time, recognizing the operational, parking, noise, and user conflict concerns identified in the staff report, while continuing to support balanced recreational opportunities for both pickleball and tennis communities. And I further recommend that any final decision regarding additional conversions be considered by the Palo Alto City Council. I'm open to,
On the city council.
Yeah, so I was adding something in, because I think that this is a very emotional issue that involves both tennis and pickleball. And so I think it's probably one of those issues I think we should also get comments from the city council on that.
Can you split that to two different motions? One,
Okay, I move that the Parks and Recreation Commission support staff's recommendation not to convert additional tennis courts at Mitchell Park at this time, recognizing the operational, parking, noise, and user conflict concerns identified in the staff report, while continuing to support balanced recreational opportunities for both pickleball and the
Chair,
tennis
hold on
communities.
1 second while,
sorry.
Eric, if you can scribe this. We're going to put it on the screen
Okay.
so everyone can see it.
All right, you want to start in while?
Okay. Well, where did we leave off here? Operational parking. And user conflict, let's see, and user conflict concern. Well, you can actually leave that off. I think further recommend that the final decision regarding additional court conversions be considered by the Palo Alto City Council.
I'm sorry, his screen is not working, so we're trying to coordinate here, so it's hard. So
I'm happy to supply you.
This motion, the first motion. If you don't mind reading the first motion.
The first motion.
Sorry, first motion again, please.
Hang on.
We're kind of sharing.
Okay. All right. Do you have all that, Eric?
It was the last part, the final decision be left to city council, is that what you?
And that any final decision regarding additional court conversions be considered by the Palo Alto City Council.
So can you separate that to one motion about the staff recommendation and a second?
Commissioner Kleinhaus, can you speak into the mic? And
Yeah, I asked if it's possible to split to two different motions. One, to support the recommendation from staff and the ad hoc, and a second one regarding whether or not this should be going to city council.
That's fair enough. I accept that.
A point of order. Wouldn't it be a motion? I thought that's what we were getting ready to do, to make a motion.
Make it a motion and a sub-motion.
That's
So
correct.
there'll be two items to vote on.
Okay. So
But the motion needs to be seconded.
I need to have a second on the first.
I'll second that.
Okay. And how about a second for the second?
Can we do one at a time?
Well,
two motions. We have to have a motion, and then we do another motion. My understanding, I don't know what the lawyers are.
Sir, good. Good, sir.
So if the motion on the table, which is what Chair Freeman just stated, and I heard Vice Chair Wei, I believe, you seconded, and is that for the full motion?
Or the second, first motion? Your second was for?
Okay, we have to deal with the first motion.
Well, let's do one thing at a time, please.
No, I think it needs to be in full, because if there is not a second on the full motion, then it fails.
I'm trying to understand. We have a motion to, no, you shouldn't.
So the first motion, which was seconded by Commissioner Wei, Vice Chair Wei, was recommended that this, wait a minute, that's the second, let's see, get the right one up here. The first motion should be supporting the staff's recommendation for, let's say, I move that the Parks and Recreation support staff's recommendation not to convert additional tennis courts at Mitchell Park at this time. So let's make that the motion. Do I get a second on that one?
Is this the full staff recommendation? Or do we need more motions?
Could I understand, here's what I understand. We're making a motion to approve the staff's recommendation.
Right.
Yes, that's correct. So we're going to do an A and B motion.
Right.
So right now, the A motion will be read, and we have a first and second. Is that correct? Can you verify, Commissioner Way, that you seconded the motion A?
I'm sorry, this isn't the staff recommendations. What's on our screen is not the staff recommendation. So either we do part of the staff recommendation.
So the first motion should be staff's recommendation.
Correct.
Okay. So that's the recommendation to not to convert the additional tennis courts at Mitchell Park at this time.
Right.
Yes.
That's
right.
That's recommendation was much longer than that.
No, that's, this is
It's a
his
different
motion.
recommendation. All right.
okay.
And forget about the second. Don't think about, if there's a second one, then we would deal with it.
Okay.
Can you read the staff recommendations? Yeah, I can, I know, but I want to know what other motions need to be there. So I was wondering if you can read the staff recommendations.
You put that up again? Yeah.
Okay, this is the motion. Can you also put the staff recommendations, which was different than this?
No, it's.
This is the
staff recommendation. The one on the screen is staff recommendation, Adam's recommendation.
Okay, let's keep it simple. Let's say that this is the motion, which is staff and the ad hoc. So I make a motion that staff and the ad hoc committee support the recommendation to not increase inventory of City of Palo Alto pickleball courts, including conversion. Well, this is different.
Yeah, that's what we're voting. Just.
Okay.
Should we vote on that?
Well, I would guess, is there further discussion?
Well, we want to make a,
No, we have a motion, we have a second.
well, let's clear up the first motion first, please.
Yeah, but I think we have to have discussion if there's needed discussion on the motion.
If we have a second on the motion, we can have.
We have a second of your motion.
Yeah.
Okay.
My understanding is then you have discussion, and then at some point, we decide to vote. Now, I would like to discuss something, so.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, here's where I'm coming from. We have worked on this for years and years and years. There is no reason that we don't make a motion after all this hard work. Now, if we want to do something later, that is a second motion. But I think we should vote on this motion, and then if, we can make motions for whatever we want to.
Okay, the first motion is to vote in support of the staff's recommendation not to convert the additional tennis courts at Mitchell Park.
Right.
That's the first motion. Do I get a second on that one? Commissioner, Vice Chair Way has made a second on that. Do you want to speak to your second?
Yeah, I fully support what the report reflects, and it's very thorough. As I mentioned earlier, we have to look into the overall park impact, noise, parking, etc. And currently, the noise is the primary impact. We need to resolve that before we add more courts.
Okay.
Oh.
I would like to speak to that motion.
You can speak to it.
I fully agree with the motion, And just want to say, we have spent so much time, effort, and money, and hours of people coming down here, and I think they deserve a motion. And so I will vote yes on that motion.
Okay, well, we have to, the clerk will ask for the vote on the motion. Okay.
Ready to?
Yes,
vote? We
please.
good? Okay. All right, so Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Dang?
Yes.
Vice Chair Wei?
Yes.
Commissioner Freeman?
Yes.
Sorry, Chair Freeman. Commissioner Axelrod?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
And Commissioner Kleinhaus?
Yes.
Okay, it's unanimous. Motion A passes.
So the second motion is to forward this to the city council for review and approval. Take a second on that.
I don't want to pass on this responsibility to City Council again. I thought if we respect all the staff time already done, I think it's done.
Just for clarification, city staff is planning to update city council and supply a memo of all the work that went in and discussion that happened this evening.
So then there's no need for a motion if you're going to.
Yeah, I
do a
agree. I
memo.
don't think there's needed for a second motion.
Okay. Yeah. Commissioner Axelrod.
Could I make a separate motion that the staff return with the plan incorporating the parking and noise abatements at Mitchell that were discussed and lighting courts at Cubberley so we can continue further discussions? Don't have to.
So is that an amendment to the motion B?
Wait, please.
No.
Roger, Commissioner.
Can I just make a comment that the ad hoc will continue to work on this with staff? And so we heard the feedback and from everybody, and we'll continue to incorporate that in the work plan as we continue to evaluate this with staff. So we can do a separate motion, but Chair Freeman and I heard everything loud and clear.
So it's still part of it.
I think it's important for the ad hoc to continue. They just need to look at the wider scope, maybe. And so that will be up to them to look at potentially what Mountain View is doing or other options. And so I prefer not to limit what they're going to look at now.
And I will also just add it is in the work plan.
Okay.
Sure. If it doesn't need a motion, I'm
No,
happy
it doesn't
to
need a
leave it
motion.
with the
But the ad
working
hoc will
group.
continue to work on the items that.
Right. I'd just love to hear what the upcoming, sorry, I haven't looked at the timeline, but what we should expect as continued work on this potential options.
Yeah, we'll meet with staff to see what is realistic in terms of returning back to the full commission with an update on next steps and make sure that all stakeholders are aware of that date.
Okay. All right, thank you. I think that's a closed issue.
I would move for agenda, finish, what do we say?
We're saying that the ad hoc will continue. to
No,
work.
I mean to say we're going home.
That's not. Okay, we move to the next item, please, which is, Sarah, so it's your,
Commissioner, questions, comments?
right. Let's move on to that one.
Future meeting agendas, I can speak to that. Let me pull that up. And then I believe if there's any, Chair, just as a reminder, I believe you're taking public comment on items not on the agenda at the end of the meeting. So for next month's meeting, we have second deck study, Measure E site, and we have a park improvement ordinance potentially for Foothills Improvement Plan, as well as a Rastero Creek pipeline. I am well aware that there is too much on the agenda, so one of those will get pushed. And then just looking out one more month in July, there, one of those PIOs can be pushed to the July meeting.
So for June agenda, we have 2 items, right?
Well, currently there's a potential of 4, but realize that 1, perhaps 2 may shift.
Okay. Thank you. Clerk, do we have anyone on Zoom for?
There are no additional speakers on Zoom at this time.
Okay, thank you. We'll adjourn the meeting. Now you can go home.